Infinite projection room begins with the projection of Ultron's world destruction. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 Martha Theory. Avengers Tower. Odin's emotions fluctuated greatly when he saw this scene. However, as the king of the gods, Odin's cultivation skills were still qualified after sitting on the throne for so many years. Even when he saw the scene of Frigga's death again, Odin was not too excited. But what Mobius said afterwards completely angered Odin. What does it mean that Loki was born to be a grindstone for others? What does it mean that everything is planned? Exclamation mark. What does it mean that Loki was born only to cause pain, torture, and death? What does it mean that this is the correct passage of time? Exclamation mark. According to what they meant, does Frigga have to be killed by Loki? According to what they meant, is my son just a loser in this life, destined to be a stepping stone? A terrifying pressure erupted from Odin's body. The Avengers felt difficulty breathing at this moment. They agreed that they were facing a tiger, no, a Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is the sense of oppression brought by the different levels of life. Loki has always looked down on Thor's mortal friends. After all, whether it is a mecha, a serum, or a genetic mutation, it cannot change the fact that their life level is still mortal. Odin also has this attitude, because for Odin, a group of mortals will disappear in 100 years at most. He threw his son into the mortal world to make him humble and know how to be a wise ruler and a qualified king. So Odin has never been very happy about Thor finding a mortal girlfriend. This is like the ancient family background. It is too difficult for a prince of an empire to marry a peasant woman. Even if he takes a concubine, she must at least be a lady from a famous family. The position of the main wife is reserved for princesses of other empires or the daughters of ministers. Moreover, as a member of the Asgard royal family with a lifespan of at least 1,000 years, the gap between Thor and Jane is even greater than the gap between a prince and a beggar. For a strong man like Odin, there are only 1.5 people on the whole earth who can catch his eye. Ancient One is one, and the woman who could dismantle a warship with her bare hands before is half. Others are just mortals after all. Ancient One pushed his hands, and a breeze blew by. The terrifying sense of oppression brought by Odin suddenly dissipated. Sorry, Master, I'm a little excited. It's okay. Ancient One shook his head and said, compared to this, I care more about what they say. I thought the timeline I saw was the best one among millions of timelines, but they said it was edited? I don't quite agree. Humph. Odin snorted coldly, and his remaining one eye was full of coldness. At this moment, Odin was no longer the amiable old man next door who would regret his move if he couldn't win the game of chess. Instead, he turned back into the lonely king, the irritable old man who dared to fight against Galactus alone, and dared to fight against the team of gods with a spear. Although both battles ended with Odin covered in blood and entering the Odin sleep that lasted 4 years after returning to Asgard. If all this was arranged by them, even if there are cosmic gods behind them, I will make them pay the price. Odin's one eye was full of fighting spirit and anger, and Thor, who was standing by, felt this rising fighting spirit, and his eyes revealed light. He always felt that his old man was really old, nagging all day long, and no longer fighting. But now he knows that the lion in the heart of the god king of Asgard is not dead, but hiding, waiting to face the last enemy, waiting for the last chance to make a move. Father, let me fight alongside you. Odin looked at Thor, who was eager to fight, and then looked at Loki, who had gradually stopped crying, and whose eyes were burning with anger that was enough to burn the entire 9 realms, and said, okay, calm down first. After all, we don't even know where the enemy is. What we have to do is to be prepared and kill them with one blow when they appear. Young man, please help me pass some information to that Loki. In the screening room, Loki held 2 strange weapons in his hands with a strange expression. Although he didn't know what these weapons were, he could feel that these things were unusual. Ultraman Ace, Hickory, it's a bit too casual to just give away the replicas of the Ultra Bracelet and Maximum Galaxy. Ultraman Hickory, I believe in my vision, and I have set restrictions on the Ultra Bracelet and Maximum Galaxy. Believe me, Hikaru's products must be fine products. Maybe the props are not anti-theft, but they will definitely not be dragged down. This is true in all aspects. Captain America, Loki, Odin from our world, asked me to bring you a message. Captain America, your father said that your birth was never a symbol of death and destruction. Don't believe the nonsense of Mobius. Captain America, your father told you sincerely that you and Thor were born to be kings. Captain America, Thor is, and so are you. Captain America, however, what he meant at the time was that you would become the king of the frost giants of Jotunheim, and Thor would become the king of Asgard. You two brothers would join forces to bring permanent peace to the two nations. Captain America, your father never treated you as a tool to rule Jotunheim, but really treated you as his son. Captain America, this is the message your father from my world asked me to bring you. Loki looked at the comments Captain America posted on the live broadcast room and fell into silence. Captain America, Loki, Thor asked me to ask, is your mother okay in your timeline? Exclamation mark. Loki's eyes lit up. Yes. Loki said, holding two props given by Hikari. What about the future? What about that shitty time management bureau? I decide my own destiny. I now have far more power than I originally had. I also joined this magical screening room. I can also obtain props and powers from various worlds in the multiverse. I will definitely protect my mother. I will definitely turn those shitty time management bureaus into ice sculptures. Seeing Loki's renewed fighting spirit, the audience in the screening room also wanted to help. Peter Parker, I also want to help Mr. Loki, but I'm just an ordinary person. Bruce Wayne patted Parker on the shoulder and said, kid, it's great that you have this intention. But I think you still need a complete plan. I personally support you to kill all those shitty time management bureaus. Magneto, who had a grudge against Loki before, also spoke in support of Loki. Magneto's mother was shot in front of Magneto's eyes when he was a child, just to stimulate his superpowers, and Magneto himself has never given up revenge. Maybe this is the legendary Martha theory. After Magneto saw Loki's mother die, he also remembered his own mother, so he also spoke out in support of Loki at this moment. Strange frowned and said, I completely understand your intention, but if that sacred timeline really exists, then your behavior of changing the timeline will directly attract the space-time administration. Then I will turn them all into ice sculptures. Loki said viciously, they are just a group of mortals. They are just using the convenience of technological weapons. My power is far beyond what it used to be. As long as they dare to appear in front of me, I can turn them into ice sculptures. But isn't the other party a strong man who can control the timeline? Even if you can deal with his men, if the other party attacks in person, I still don't think you are his opponent. Tony Stark said calmly, I don't mean to attack you, but if you want to resist fate, you must not be reckless, but make all preparations. Bruce is right. You need an extremely detailed plan and enough intelligence. But fortunately, we are not short of intelligence now, are we? Hikaru smiled and pointed at the screen and said, we can get enough information through the screening room, and the other party may not even know the changes that have taken place in you. Just as Hikaru's words fell, the picture began to change again. I'm really impressed. Last night I was so hungry that my stomach hurt and I couldn't sleep. I got up and went to the office to find a few breads to eat, and I felt better. As a result, I bought a little more dinner today and ate less than 1/3 of it. I was so bloated that I felt uncomfortable. I was so stupid. Chapter 27, A Drawer of Infinity Stones. Looking at Loki, who was sitting on the ground with a gloomy face, Mobius walked up and took the initiative to extend his right hand. Loki hesitated for a moment, then suddenly grabbed Mobius' hand and stood up from the ground. Just then, the door opened, and the black female guard walked in. Hearing that something had happened again, Mobius sighed with some regret. He said to Loki, don't go anywhere. Then he followed the female guard out of the room. A few minutes later, Mobius returned to the room. But Loki had disappeared from his sight. He instinctively reached into his suit pocket to find the time controller, but the expression on his face immediately froze. The pocket was empty. Just now, when Loki was pulled up from the ground by her, he had taken the opportunity to steal the controller from him. Yeah. Parker saw this scene and cheered happily. Seeing Parker's look, Loki's mouth also showed a slight and barely perceptible smile. Since coming to this screening room, all Loki has seen is his bad future, which makes him explode. However, no matter what kind of blow he has suffered, Loki is still the god of trickery after all. If it comes to intrigue and conspiracy, few people in the world can compare with him. The video continues. After successfully escaping, Loki rushed to a place like an office. His eyes soon lit up, and he found an acquaintance. At the beginning, after the black female guard came to the TVA headquarters, she handed the cosmic cube in her hand to a front desk. Loki walked up to the Asian and pulled him behind the table. "What's your name?" The Asian replied with a question mark on his face. "Kathy. Kathy, give me the cosmic cube, otherwise I will gut you like killing a fish." "What is a fish?" Kathy asked timidly. "You don't even know anything about fish." Loki was stunned and then immediately threatened fiercely. "Fish means death, violent, painful death." Okay. Kathy raised his hands, stood up and opened a drawer. From it, he took out the cosmic cube. "Is this what you are talking about?" Taking the Rubik's cube, Loki breathed a sigh of relief. But when he took a look in the drawer, his expression froze, as if he was hit by a stick, and he was stunned on the spot. Red, green, blue, orange. It was just such an ordinary drawer, but it actually contained more than a dozen infinity stones. How did you get these?" Due to excessive shock, Loki's voice even changed a little. Kathy glanced at the drawer and then shook his head nonchalantly. We actually have a lot of these things here, and some people even use them as paperweights." Stunned. Quiet. Stunned. This is the current situation of the people in the live broadcast room and the screening room. "Is that the Infinity Stone?" Newbie Parker looked at the stunned people and asked weakly, "Didn't they say there are only 6 Infinity Stones? How come there are so many?" Tony Stark swallowed his saliva, then took a deep breath and said, "Boy, as far as we know, there are indeed only 6 Infinity Stones. As for this," looking at the drawer full of Infinity Stones, the screening room also gave them a close-up. "Well, I don't know. How could this happen?" Odin's pupil shrank, and shocking emotions swept through his heart. A whole drawer of Infinity Stones. Each Infinity Stone taken out separately is a terrifying power that is enough to change a planet. The Power Stone can directly destroy all creatures on the surface of a planet. The Reality Stone can modify reality. The Dark Elves use the Reality Stone's power to modify reality to fight against the entire Asgard. The Time Stone has the power to manipulate time. Even Dormammu, the Lord of the Dark Dimension, cannot resist this power. The remaining 3 stones also have their own horrors. But what about now? Now there are more than a dozen Infinity Stones in one drawer. How is this possible? When his father fought against the Dark Elves, he had to go through years of bloody battles before he finally defeated them. The main reason why it was so difficult to fight was because the Dark Elves controlled the Ether Particles, which is the power of the Reality Stone. And Odin saw clearly that there were 2 red Reality Stones in that drawer. At this moment, Odin had the urge to rub his eyes. From this, it can be seen how shocking the world is, that even with the sophistication and experience of the God King Odin, he felt incredible and seriously doubted whether he had hallucinations. As a paperweight, Gu subconsciously looked at the Eye of Agamotto on his chest. This treasure of Kamatage, the ultimate magic weapon that only the Supreme Sorcerer can use, is essentially the Time Stone. As a result, you told me that there are more than a dozen in the drawer of the front desk of the Time Management Bureau. I can't accept it. Wolverine, could it be fake? Logan looked at the Infinity Stones that were embedded in the Infinity Ultron in the previous video, making the Infinity Ultron a terrifying demon who destroyed the world. Now they are in a drawer as paperweights. He couldn't accept it either. Captain America, Master Ancient One said that this is very likely to be true. As soon as Captain America's words came out, the temperature in the audience dropped sharply. Especially Loki. "No, I think this is very likely to prove something else in reverse." Strange said, "That is, if the Infinity Stones are not in their own universe, they will not work." Avengers building. Ancient One saw Strange's speech and nodded. What Strange said is right. If I was not sure before, I'm sure now. The Infinity Stones in normal state emit this special light, and these Infinity Stones are dim, which excludes the possibility that the other party is deliberately bluffing. Then at least one thing can be guaranteed, that is, even if the Infinity Ultron kills other Earths, it will not have the original single universe level strength. If it is our world, Ancient One frowned, but still said, I can solve it with His Majesty Odin. If it is in its heyday, Ancient One silently added in his heart, she didn't tell the truth to everyone. Everyone has experienced enough blows in the past few days. Appropriate pressure is the driving force for progress, but excessive pressure will only make people collapse on the spot and explode. When Ancient One's words were sent to the live broadcast room, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Wolverine, no matter what, at least we can guarantee that we will not be drinking wine and suddenly a crazy robot pops out and blow up the Earth. Wanda, but even without the Infinity Stones, Ultron's strength is not weak. Wanda, in our world, it was Vision who killed Ultron's data body in the data network to end the Ultron age. Wanda, although I don't know what the Infinite Ultron you are talking about is, the original Ultron's strength is also terrifying. Wanda, if I face Ultron, maybe I can tear his body apart, but I have no way to deal with his data. If he invades the world's network, he will really launch all nuclear bombs. Wolverine, damn. Can robots be played like this? Exclamation mark. Magneto, I thought I could just use my magnetism to turn him into a pile of scrap metal. Brothers, now when I see parents asking me how their students did in the exam, I get worried. Now some parents have started asking me if I have made any progress. His son got 35 points in the exam. What a progress. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, Loki's Counterattack. The topic gradually deviates. In the screening room, everyone was still discussing the drawer of infinite gems, and the video was still going on. Holding the cosmic cube, Loki was still shocked by the drawer of infinite gems and his face was stiff. He walked to the center of the office involuntarily. He glanced at the busy staff in the office with a dazed look. Loki murmured in a low voice, "Is this the most powerful force in the universe?" And the only answer was the sound of the elevator arriving at the station behind him. Loki turned around suddenly and saw the black female guard holding a terrible yellow baton, rushing up with murderous intent. Seeing the female police officer swinging the baton down on his head, Loki directly activated the time controller in his hand. In an instant, he disappeared from the spot. Loki disappeared, and the female guard's baton immediately hit the cart pushed by the staff member Cassie. With a snap, the whole car was immediately cut cleanly, without even a trace of residue left. Even though it was not the first time that everyone saw the effect of this yellow baton, their eyelids still jumped. This ability to cut people in half at the slightest disagreement was too terrifying. And the drawer of the cart was filled with more than a dozen Infinity Stones. Even if the Infinity Stones exerted their power in other universes, their own style should not be too bad. However, even so, just in a moment, the entire cart and the dozen Infinity Stones were gone. Tony looked extremely solemn, but his eyes were shining. What kind of weapon was that yellow baton? How could it be so powerful? Even after experiencing the blow of Ultron, Tony was still the extremely proud Tony Stark. As a genius scientist who could rank among the best on his own Earth and even in the entire universe, Tony was already full of curiosity at this moment. Swish. Loki fell hard on the floor of the time projection room again. Just like what Mobius did to him, this time he dodged the female guard's terrifying attack by reversing his own time. Looking at the frozen projection of the Avengers in front of him, Loki walked to the seat Mobius had sat down. He began to try to debug the circular projector. First, he rewound the image back to the state when Queen Frigga died. Looking at the body of his mother in the projection, Loki's eyes were filled with tears. Then he pressed the button again, and a one-eyed old man appeared in the projection, saying affectionately, "I love you, my children. Remember this place, home." After leaving this sentence, the old Odin's body suddenly turned into golden particles. In the projection, Loki and Thor all stood up, looking solemnly at the golden particles completely disappearing in the air. Father. Thor looked at the old man in the live broadcast. Wasn't that his father Odin? However, the Odin in the picture is older than the current Odin, and his temperament is more like that of an old man, rather than the king of gods who rules the 9 realms. As the protagonist, Odin, on the contrary, has a calm face. It seems that he died because of his end, not because of the invasion of foreign enemies. Odin pondered. He knew his body very well, and it would only last for 5 years at most. The closer he was to death, the calmer the king of the 9 realms was. Anyway, they were all going to die, and he could go find Frigga. However, he was still worried about Asgard and his 2 sons. Of the 2 brothers, one could only swing a sledgehammer all day long, and the other was a complete problem child. At this time, the picture turned into the Ragnarok of the gods. Thor and Loki stood side by side, and Thor suddenly turned to his brother and said, "Loki, you are very important to me. I think we can fight side by side forever." Then the scene changed again. Thor had a blindfold on his eyes and said to Loki, "Brother, I suddenly feel that you are not that bad." Loki smiled softly and said, "That's possible." Thor smiled and said, "If you were by my side, I would really like to hug you." Loki looked at the scenes in front of him and burst into tears. At this moment, he saw the last scene. Loki held a dagger and stabbed Thanos' throat directly. End. Loki was already crying when he saw this. In the screening room, seeing Odin's fall on the screen, Loki felt his eyes moist. Although, since he was a child, he felt that Odin's attitude towards himself and Thor was always vaguely different. But after seeing what Odin said to him in the live broadcast room, and seeing Odin still confessing his love as a father to him and Thor until his death, Loki's resentment began to gradually dissipate. And seeing Thor fighting side by side with him, Loki couldn't help but curl his lips slightly and smiled. Although this big fool has a head full of muscles and hammers, except for Frigga, the only one who loves him the most in Asgard, is this big fool with a head full of muscles and hammers. Avengers building. After Loki heard Odin's words and saw that he would really fight side by side with Thor in the future, he no longer had any resentment in his heart. At least, they love him, isn't it? In the future, Odin died, and Frigga left the whole Asgard. No, it is his only relative in the universe, and the only person he can rely on is really his silly brother. Since it's like this, what's the point of blood? So, this is why I will save him at all costs in the future. The 2 Lokis suddenly understood. Loki in the projection room also saw himself being lifted up by Thanos by the neck. Catcher hearing the sound of his neck breaking on the projection, Loki's face was filled with horror. Not everyone can face their own death calmly. When Loki looked at the screen again, the film in the time projector had run out. The words "file end" appeared on the projection screen. The video of his life has been played to the end. He ha 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 ha. With tears in his eyes, Loki suddenly laughed out loud. So, this is his life. Being loved by his father and brother, and then because of his own choice, he came to an end. Just as Loki was laughing, the door behind him suddenly opened. A cold voice sounded. "What's so funny?" The smile on Loki's face gradually faded, and he said calmly, "For a glorious mission." The next moment, the 2 ran towards each other quickly, and attacked at the same time. Loki punched first, but his fist was caught by the guard. Then the guard grabbed Loki's right arm and pressed him hard on the table with a grappling technique. Being pressed on the table by the female guard, Loki's eyes flashed, and suddenly he saw the time controller he had placed on the table before. Loki stretched out his hand and grabbed the time reversal device, then quickly escaped from the female guard's grasp, and then suddenly turned the tables and actually countered the female guard. Loki pressed the time controller with his right hand, and the light on the time collar on his neck suddenly fell off. He pulled down the collar that had bound him for a long time, and Loki swung his right hand and actually put the collar on the guard's neck. What? The guard's eyes were filled with astonishment, and he stretched out his hand in disbelief to try to take off the collar. Then, the guard turned around with an angry face and punched Loki in the face. At this moment, Loki pressed the button on the time controller. Swish. The guard's figure disappeared instantly. Loki let out a long breath, turned around, and turned the controller again. Swish. The guard staggered out of the air, and then disappeared again. Her time flow had been completely controlled by Loki. Stop. Stop. The guard's figure kept appearing in front of Loki and then kept disappearing, looking extremely weird. But Loki didn't care at all. His eyes were fixed on the controller in front of him, like a child who had just got a new toy, turning the instrument at his fastest speed. Stop. The guard's figure turned and disappeared, and finally left a trace of afterimage in the air. After getting tired of playing, Loki pressed the controller for the last time, teleported the guard far away, and then threw the controller on the table. Good. Yeah. Success. Woohoo. Cheers came from every corner of the multiverse. Wolverine. Great. Loki boy. The other you finally did something great. Ultraman Ace. This is the end of wantonly playing with the fate of others. Wolverine and Ace, the duo who hate evil as much as they hate evil, have long been unhappy with the Time Management Bureau that controls the fate of others and shamelessly regards it as justice. If there is a chance, the two of them will probably go in directly. Now seeing that this Galbay place has finally been frustrated by Loki, although it is only a captain guard, the two still feel a wave of comfort. Loki is very happy at this moment, but still proudly expresses his dissatisfaction. Loki, mortals, I understand your worship, but I want to pay attention to your words. Loki, I'm 1,500 years old. I'm much older than your grandfather. Ultraman Ace, but I'm almost 10,000 years old. Loki. Peter Parker, almost 10,000 years old? Peter suddenly felt dizzy. Peter Parker could accept Loki's claim that he was 1,500 years old before. After all, there were Norse myths and legends in his own world. Since he was a character in myths and legends, it was not difficult to understand that he could live a long life. But 10,000 years old, and because the other party was an alien, it would be more credible. Tony Stark. 10,000 years old? Tony Stark's eyelids jumped. The lifespan of a normal Earthling is only 120 years at most. Even if Tony Stark is a super genius, a superhero, a playboy, and a bunch of titles, he can't stop his aging. Ultraman Ace, and I'm not the oldest among us. Seeing Ace's words, everyone turned their eyes to another non-human alien in the group. I accidentally wrote 3,000 words. I didn't notice. The parent who just scored 35 points asked me if his child could be saved. Damn it, how can I respond? I can't really say there is no hope. I still have to think of ways to say something nice. Being a teacher is really tiring. Chapter 29 Expert Mr. Loki. Hickory looked at everyone and said, if Ace hadn't reminded me, I would have almost forgotten. Come to think of it, I'm almost 20,000 years old this year. Beta Encyclopedia says Hickory's age is 22,000 years old in Hickory's profile, but it was slightly modified for the needs of the plot. Anyway, Ultraman doesn't need to pay much attention to the setting, and Suburaya editors have been backstabbing each other for a long time, so this brother won't make a difference. Hiss, 20,000. Too strong. You existed when human civilization was still in the Stone Age. Big brother, big brother, big brother. Hickory thought carefully for a while, then said, I should be 19,864 years old this year. I will be 19,865 in 5 days. Happy birthday. Congratulations. Happy birthday. Thank you. That's not right. Are you off topic? Loki suddenly realized that something was wrong. It's obviously my home court. Why are you celebrating the birthday of that blue-skinned guy? This. Everyone turned their attention back to the live broadcast. Although most of the attention was attracted by Hickory before, some people still focused on the live broadcast. For example, Bruce Wayne. Although he was also shocked by Hickory's age, Bruce Wayne still managed to eat melons and watch the show. A time criminal on the run is killing our time guards. Loki walked to Mobius and said with disdain, so you need the god of trickery to help you stop him? That's right. Why did you choose me? Mobius said frankly, because the time criminal we are chasing is you. What did you say? Eyes widened. Loki's face showed an expression of disbelief. Wait a minute, can anyone tell me what happened? Isn't this progress jumping too fast? To put it simply, Bruce Wayne thought for a moment and said, the Time Management Bureau is chasing a fugitive, and that fugitive happens to be a variant of another timeline. Oh. Hikaru looked at the two people talking above and said, use Loki to defeat Loki? Use Loki to defeat Loki? Bruce Wayne said, I have heard a saying, when I was practicing in the East, that magic should be defeated by magic. Only a madman can know what another madman is thinking. Therefore, it is reasonable to use Loki to deal with Loki. First of all, I will not surrender to that bunch of shit. Loki corrected with a dissatisfied look. Secondly, even if there is a group of Lokis, I'm the smartest and noblest one among Loki. Avengers building. That guy doesn't recognize his status. Loki in this world also looked unhappy. Although he has experience more than Loki in the screening room, his mentality should be more peaceful and more open. But as Loki, he would never accept another Loki saying that he is nobler than him in front of him, his father, his brother, or even a group of mortals. I, Loki, am the strongest, the greatest, and the noblest. Mortals. Tell that Loki to watch his words. Captain America looked at Odin and Thor helplessly. The meaning was self-evident. How could such a big god be like a child? Odin also looked helpless. But he didn't say much, just pulled Loki aside. Wonder, so the Loki on the screen is going to join the Time Management Bureau? Loki, impossible. I, Loki, never bow down to anyone. And I will never bow down to this shitty management bureau. Wonder, poof, shitty management bureau, ha 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 ha. Bruce Wayne, then how is that Loki going to get out of this? Humph, mortal, this is not easy. Loki's face once again revealed that signature evil smile, although it was a bit hideous and scary with his dark blue face. The future me must have secretly pretended to join the Time Management Bureau, and then disrupted, or even controlled this organization from the inside. After all, the stronger the fortress, the easier it is to break from the inside. Ha ha ha. Looking at Loki, who started to speak as a villain, everyone was speechless. In the office, Mobius came up and handed Loki a uniform. There was an attack. Quickly change your clothes and follow me. The two of them quickly came to the lobby of the Time Management Bureau. The guard who was killed by Loki before was explaining the situation to everyone. Soon after entering the branch in 1985, C20 and his team lost contact. We can now prove that the other party is the time offender Loki, but we don't know what type of Loki he is. Hearing this, Loki quickly took over the conversation. That Loki must be lower than me, there is no doubt about that. In order to emphasize his words, Loki even nodded seriously to everyone. Wanda, no way, are you really that serious? Wanda, as a newcomer who joined the Avengers in Avengers 2, has only met Thor once, and her understanding of Loki is based on hearsay and partial information. Loki, Kit, what do you know? Loki, this is orthodoxy. It's a very serious issue. The video continues. Although Loki was recruited, the guards who had been cheated by Loki before still disliked him. Just when the two were about to fight again, Mobius quickly came out to smooth things over. Alright, everyone, please remember that, when we enter the time branch, our target is not just one time criminal. We have to deal with a Loki. Mobius finished speaking, and began to place some images of Loki. The first one to bear the brunt is a frost giant Loki. Humph. Loki was quite unhappy when he saw the frost giant version of himself. Then the mini illusions kept rolling. Loki's form began to change constantly. There appeared Athlete Loki, Hulk Loki, Barbarian Loki, Joker Loki. Looking at the various versions of himself in front of him, Loki's eyes widened and seemed to be in shock. Not only the Loki in the picture, but also the Loki in the Avengers building and the screening room were in shock at this moment. No, Loki was not the only one in shock. Wanda, my god, how many Lokis are there here? Our time variance administration has cut more than one Loki, more than any other time criminal. Mobius continued to introduce the situation of Loki on each timeline. They are all different. Sometimes their appearances are not much different, and sometimes they are quite different. Although their abilities are different, they basically include image change, illusion creation, and hearing this, Bruce Wayne said, it seems that different timelines will also create different Lokis. No, it's not just Loki. Since there are all kinds of Lokis, there may also be all kinds of different us. Bruce Wayne said, maybe in other universes, there will be different me, such as Patient Bruce, Ordinary Bruce, or even a female version of me. Strange joked on the side. Be bold. Maybe in some worlds you may not even be a human, such as the vampire version of Bruce Wayne. Then maybe there is a dark version of the Sorcerer Supreme. Bruce Wayne also joked, but soon he said, for this type of existence, we may call them our counterparts. Peter Parker, then, will there be different me in other worlds? Of course, kid. Maybe you are also a superhero in other worlds. Hickory looked at Parker and said, I can feel the kindness in your heart. You are a kind child. Good people will definitely be rewarded. Then, what about the evil people? Good is rewarded with good, and evil is rewarded with evil. If heaven doesn't punish you, you will. Hickory patted Parker on the shoulder and said, believe in yourself. Before Mobius finished speaking, Loki immediately interrupted and said, it's not about creating illusions, but about creating clones. The two are completely different. Then, Loki began to explain with a smug look on his face. Looking at the expression on Loki's face that deserved a beating, Mobius' face also fell, and he started to assign tasks directly. This time we have to split into 2 teams. I and the omniscient Professor Loki will also go. As soon as Mobius said this, he immediately attracted opposition from others. Why bring Loki? Mobius sighed. Whatever Loki is, we can't find him. So we are going to have to call in an expert this time. And this expert, obviously, is Loki. And at this moment, Loki has an expression that says, I'm an expert. Awesome. Tomorrow they'll have their midterm exams. I wrote down everything they need to worry about and pay attention to on the blackboard, and also posted it in the parent group. If they still forget, there's nothing I can do. I've done what I need to do, and I won't care anymore. Chapter 30 Loki's plan. Loki also wanted to ask Mobius for weapons, but of course, Mobius refused him without hesitation. There was no disappointment on Loki's face. He didn't expect Mobius to give him weapons at all. After leaving this time administration, I can use magic again. Don't you worry about my betrayal. No, I'm not worried at all. Mobius said confidently, you know we can always catch you, and if you betray us, how can you get close to the Time Guardian? Hearing this, Loki's steps immediately stopped and turned back to ask, do I have a chance to meet the Time Guardian? Mobius did not answer his question directly, but just said, you can try. Next, Loki and the Time Administration passed through the portal and came to the lighthouse in the 19th century. Loki was still a little confused and asked Mobius why they didn't come directly before the incident to stop the time offender Loki. As a result, Mobius just said, similar actions will only make the time flow more unstable, further affect the sacred timeline. So this time they can only appear according to the actual time. Avengers building. Seeing this, Master Ancient once smiled. This time management bureau, it seems that it is not that powerful. Everyone entered a tent and only found a helmet of the C-20 guard on the ground. Faced with the doubts of her colleagues, the black female guard said flatly, Loki will definitely not be able to beat C-20. Hearing this, Loki seemed to feel that his dignity was damaged, and he quickly refuted. I think you seem to underestimate. As a result, the black female guard ignored him and just ordered his subordinates to go out and search. Seeing this, Loki suddenly claimed that the other time criminal Loki was outside, waiting for these time guards to show up. I saw that conspiracy, and I saw myself in that conspiracy. Loki said solemnly, there is such a saying in our Asgard, where the wolf's ears see, the wolf's fangs are waiting for an opportunity to move. Thor touched his head and asked Loki beside him, Loki, do we have this saying in Asgard? Maybe it's from Asgard in other worlds. Seeing his silly brother nod confidently, Loki curled his lips helplessly. Fortunately, this guy didn't fight for the throne. Otherwise, if Asgard was handed over to this guy, it would be doomed sooner or later. Odin looked at this silly son and knew in his heart that Loki was definitely fooling people. This proverb means that you should always be alert to your surroundings. Loki shrugged and suddenly said something shocking, but it's actually useless. Because my people are born to be fooled by fools. So as the god of trickery, I can take advantage of their weakness again and again. Loki. Thor shouted loudly, scaring Loki. How can you say that? Loki curled his lips. This guy still hasn't realized the key point of the problem until now. My people. Odin nodded with relief. It seems that Loki always has Asgard in his heart. If this child is really talented in government affairs, maybe we can really consider giving the throne to Loki. Or learn from Earth. Give Loki a ruling king or something. Thor doesn't care about this anyway. Odin has let it go now. He has 2 children, and there are 3 children including the one he sealed with his own hands. His 3 children are less reliable than the other. As the tallest among the short ones, Loki is the best one in a sense. Loki's tone suddenly became fierce. You remind me of them. The Time Variance Administration and the gods of Asgard are all the same kind of people. Intoxicated with power, but ignoring the truth. Those you underestimate will devour you. Loki sneered. You underestimate me, just like you underestimate this lowly Loki. This is why you lose to him again and again. Next, Loki claimed that the other time criminal Loki was looking for was actually him. And he is very sure that together we can overthrow and control the entire Time Management Bureau. Speaking of this, Loki's tone suddenly became sincere. But I don't want to do that. Now I'm a slave of the sacred timeline. Trust me, I can catch this time criminal back. Wanda, no way, you just defected to the enemy? Bruce Wayne, I think Loki should be planning to gain the other party's trust before doing this, but the other party has your life information, and has dealt with countless of your counterparts. If you do this, they will not believe it. 1. To be honest, this is too fake. Tony Stark, a guy called the God of Trickery suddenly behaves like a loyal dog. I wouldn't believe it, even if I were him. Hahaha, mortals can only see this point. Loki laughed instead, and laughed wildly. Watch out mortals. What is the God of Trickery? Avengers building. Loki, what on earth is your counterpart saying? Why can't I understand a single word? Thor was completely confused. What Loki said was beyond the capacity of his brain's CPU. After the conversation of the crowd was input into Thor's brain, it automatically condensed into a sentence. Ask Loki. I can catch this time criminal. Loki walked behind Mobius and whispered in his ear, but I need a guarantee. I guarantee that, after I catch this criminal, you won't abandon him and completely disassemble him. Sure. Mobius nodded. Then, Loki's voice lowered even more. We have to go see the timekeepers immediately. You can't imagine how dangerous their current situation is. I understand. Thor patted Loki's shoulder fiercely. You want to trick them into meeting the Guardian of Time, right Loki? Loki? Why are you lying on the ground? The ground is cool. I see. You are a frost giant, so you are not afraid of the cold, right? Enough. You idiot. Loki trembled and curled up and roared. That's the nonsense that the low-level Loki said. If you believe it, it means that you are an idiot with nothing but muscles and hammers in your head. Idiot. Looking at the 2 brothers who were friendly and respectful to each other, everyone was speechless. What do you think that Loki meant? Dr. Banner scratched his head. As an ultimate scholar with 7 doctoral degrees at a young age, the timeline of the Incredible Hulk was in the 2000s, and Banner was no more than 40 years old at that time. At that time, Dr. Banner was already an ultimate scholar with 7 doctoral degrees. Normal people who can get a doctoral degree at the same age are well educated and knowledgeable. Dr. Banner's brain must definitely crush most humans. But academics are academics, and they are not very related to emotional intelligence. In terms of strategy, Dr. Banner is just at the level of an average person. So he chose to seek help from an expert. And the expert he chose was a boiled egg whose heart was as black as his face. Boiled Egg frowned and thought. As the director of SHIELD, the king of agents, I personally prefer to be called the chief agent. Although I didn't realize that except for a few loyal subordinates, the rest of my subordinates are traitors, 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 and all traitors. Other aspects are absolutely the best of the best. Otherwise, Hydra would not have chosen Nick Fury to be the director of SHIELD. The big guys in the group were discussing pets. I also wanted to raise a small pet, but firstly, I considered that I couldn't even keep a cactus alive, and secondly, I couldn't take care of it myself, and still raise a pet. Forget it, don't kill. Chapter 31 Ace's famous quotes. The next second, Mobius said loudly, this guy is lying, he is just teasing us, there is no one outside. The guard heard this, and immediately put down the time reset machine. turning everything on this timeline that does not belong to this timeline into nothingness. In the screening room, Bruce Wayne frowned and thought about Loki's actions. According to his observation, this guy named Loki, who claimed to be the god of trickery, is definitely not a simple master. Excluding all possibilities, then, there is only one truth. Bruce Wayne said, the reason why Loki said those words is to delay time. Oh. Loki in the screening room and Loki in the Avengers building looked at Bruce Wayne at the same time. This mortal is interesting. Loki in the Avengers building rubbed his shoulders and said, he actually saw that Loki's original intention was to give the time criminal Loki, who was being hunted, enough time to escape. In that case, Loki's words are easy to understand. There was a hint of understanding and unwillingness in Nick Fury's one eye. It doesn't matter how unreliable or unreasonable his words are, as long as what he says is alarmist enough and attractive enough. Because his goal is to help another time offender Loki escape, all he has to do is delay time, the longer the better. After listening to Loki and Nick Fury's explanation, the others may have suddenly realized it, or they may have realized it later, or some still don't understand it. Loki, when did you two unite? Thor asked, scratching his hair. Obviously, his brain did not allow him to think so complicatedly. What do you mean by two of us? Loki said quite dissatisfiedly, I'm me, and those to Lokis are just my counterparts to inferior Lokis. But even if they are inferior Lokis, they are still me, the counterparts of Loki, the god of trickster. The wisdom of the great god of trickster is not something that a group of mortals can understand. Loki said the extremely second-year line seriously, and he didn't feel embarrassed at all. As the saying goes, as long as I'm not embarrassed, then others must be embarrassed. Hawkeye Clinton Natasha whispered, is he really not embarrassed at all? I'm getting goosebumps just from listening to this. Maybe this is Loki's talent. At this time, the image on the live broadcast screen turned into an office. There were 3 human-shaped statues in the office, but the faces of these statues were all covered with scales, looking like lizards. Mr. Loki seemed to have said something like a space lizard before. Peter Parker suddenly remembered something. The so-called Guardian of Time wouldn't look like this. Thinking of this, Peter Parker suddenly felt a little sick. You're right, kid. Strange said, I have a characteristic. I have a photographic memory. I remember very clearly that in the previous picture, there was a picture of the Guardians that flashed by, and the animated images of the 3-time Guardians look at least 50% similar to these 3 statues. Strange said, I was curious why the faces of the 3-time Guardians turned green. If they are really 3 lizards, then it makes sense. Before, Mr. Loki called the 3-time Guardians space lizards, and I thought it was just a personal attack. Peter Parker said, it turns out that they really have a lizard's head. There's nothing strange about this, kid. Strange said, as a wizard, I have seen quite a few creatures from other worlds, and among them, there are even more that look weird, and don't look like humans at all, and even have nothing to do with Earth creatures. Although we don't know the strength of the Time Administration, if the 3-time Guardians are really far superior to humans, then it is not difficult to understand that they are different from humans. Then why did they recruit a group of humans to be their subordinates? Peter discovered the blind spot. Who knows? Strange shrugged and said, I'm not them. If we use the understanding of the Kingdom of Light, the human race is actually a very special race. Hickory on the side spoke. A long time ago, we in the Kingdom of Light looked exactly like you Earthlings. Later, our star went out, and in order to survive, our ancestors invented the plasma spark tower. Hickory looked at the humans and an Asgardian in front of him and said, under the illumination of the plasma spark tower, we have become what we are today. Later, Ultraman, a monster management expert at the University of the Kingdom of Light and the second brother of the Ultra Brothers, discovered a planet called Earth while hunting down the fugitive Bemula in the universe. The humans there are the same as our ancestors. Later, the Ultra Brothers took turns going to Earth, and together with the people of Earth, they defeated monsters and repelled invaders from the universe and formed a deep bond with the humans of Earth. We have discovered that the human race has great potential and an unpredictable future. We believe that one day humans can travel the universe with us. Before that, our Kingdom of Light will be the strongest barrier for our universe and Earth, helping the people of Earth to resist all invaders. Ace is more experienced than me in this regard. He once stayed on Earth for a long time, and together with humans, he protected the peace of the Earth. Ultraman Ace, yes, the Earthlings are really a race with infinite potential. Ultraman Ace, at the same time, I also realized a truth on Earth. Ultraman Ace, the heart of enthusiasm cannot be extinguished. Sympathize with the weak, help each other, and everyone in the world is a friend. Even if you have been betrayed by this feeling thousands of times, don't give up on it easily. The Kingdom of Light. Jack, Seven, and Ace, the three Ultra brothers, also recalled the blue planet many light years away. Jack could not forget that rainy afternoon, and he also understood the complexity of the Earthlings. While accepting their bright side, he must also learn to tolerate their dark side. Seven also could not forget the sins he committed for the Earthlings. He knew it was wrong, but he still did it without hesitation. Ace passed on his enthusiasm to the children on Earth. Ace was the most irritable among the Ultra brothers, but he was also very enthusiastic. Even though he was treated second only to Master Lei and the defense team, he had no complaints. At most, he was a little bit cruel when fighting the Ultra Beast. At the same time, he also remembered the man on the moon and Yabru's curse. So, have you always played the role of protector on that Earth? Bruce Wayne asked. Why? Is it because your ancestors are more like the people on Earth? As a patient with late-stage paranoia, Bruce Wayne was extremely vigilant about all superpowers, who had the possibility and ability to commit crimes, and he wished that every superpower would prepare 8 or 10 backup plans. As for a group of aliens with the power of exploding stars, even if they said they were here to protect the Earth, Bruce Wayne would still not believe it. If they left that day, it would be fine, but what if they wanted to invade the Earth? Even if the two were not in the same world, Bruce Wayne still wanted to prepare an anti-Ultraman plan. Batman is like this. He has prepared countermeasures for everyone in the Justice League. Then when the enemy invades the Justice League, they are trapped by Batman's countermeasures. In Dark Metal, a group of Dark Universe Batman basically beat up the Justice League, and Superman is no exception. Ultraman Ace. No, Ultraman has never been protecting humans. Instead, he fights side by side with humans. In the Kingdom of Light, several Ultra brothers said this at the same time. The actor who plays Ace's human form, Hakuto CG, Mr. Takamine Kiji, is a true hero. Chapter 30 To the logical flaw of the Time Guardian. The description of this time criminal is self-willed, stubborn, and unpredictable. The female judge glanced at the file, then looked up at Mobius sitting opposite her, and raised her eyebrows. It sounds exactly like someone. I thought so too. Mobius took a sip of wine. The black female judge seemed to disagree with Mobius's approach. Bringing a dangerous time criminal to the scene will cause controversy. Yes, Mobius said without disguising. Today is not entirely what I want, but I also found that this Loki likes to delay time. And by understanding this, we will definitely catch another person with the same habit in the end. Because understanding this Loki can help me get closer to the Loki we are chasing. This guy. In the live broadcast room, hearing what Mobius said on the screen, Loki's pupils shrank slightly, and his heart beat violently uncontrollably. This Mobius actually saw the deep meaning behind the behavior of his counterpart Loki. It seems that someone's calculations have been discovered. Tony Stark glanced at Loki, and then said, and from what he said, he seems to be studying Loki through observation, and then summarizing the information, and then using it to hunt down the other Loki who is on the run. Humph. Just a mortal. Loki said disdainfully. Although Mobius said this, the female judge did not seem to buy it. I know you are a kind-hearted person, but Loki is an evil, lying scourge. He plays this role on the sacred timeline. Unexpectedly, hearing this typical fatalism of the time administration, Mobius shook his head. Maybe he wants to change his appearance now. Sometimes you get tired of playing the same role. Is it impossible? Is it impossible for him to change? Hearing this somewhat unorthodox words, the black female judge immediately said firmly, unless the Guardian of Time makes a ruling, it is impossible. Fuck. Loki cursed in a low voice. This bunch of shit. The others were also quite dissatisfied when they heard Loki's words. What do you mean by absolutely impossible? Hikaru said dissatisfiedly, there is no such concept as absolute in this world. Even the most bizarre things have the possibility of happening. Every tiny action of ours may cause consequences no less than a stellar explosion. It is impossible. What a joke. This is called the butterfly effect on Earth. It probably means that a butterfly flapping its wings will cause a storm on another continent. That's what I mean. Hikaru nodded. Mobius asked softly, how are the Time Guardians? The female judge did not answer, but asked Mobius, what do you think? Mobius smiled and said, I don't know, because I've never seen them. Hearing what Mobius said, the female judge leaned forward and said excitedly, the Time Guardians are monitoring every aspect of this case. I've never seen them care so much. They want to catch the time criminal. Mobius, me too. Hearing this, the female judge grabbed a pen and pointed at Mobius and said, this is your last chance to work a case together with Loki. Bruce Wayne keenly noticed something. The female judge was a little too excited after Mobius mentioned the Guardian of Time. It's obvious that the woman is hiding something related to the Guardian of Time. Strange also said, although my major is not psychology, I still have some understanding of psychology. When you reminded me, I did remember that the expression and tone of the woman when she mentioned the Guardian of Time were indeed not right. In fact, until now, I have begun to doubt the existence or authenticity of this Guardian of Time. Strange said, Mobius is obviously an experienced old agent, but he said that he has never seen the Guardian of Time once. This may be explained by the fact that the thinking of gods is different from that of us mortals. But as a big boss who can shrink the multiverse into a sacred timeline, how could he be helpless against a fugitive time prisoner? Besides, if they can really shrink the multiverse into a timeline, how can there be different timeline branches? I'm not very knowledgeable and cannot understand these things, but if I look at it from my perspective, the entire Time Administration Bureau is full of loopholes and illogical places. I think that this Time Guardian is very likely not as powerful as they say, or even does not exist at all. In fact, similar thoughts were thought of by the other people. After all, there were too many loopholes revealed in the words of the female judge just now. After Mobius left the female judge's office, he found Loki sitting outside waiting for him. Seeing that Mobius's face seemed not very good, Loki rushed up and explained endlessly. You may not know why I did that during the mission. This is actually the first lesson you caught Loki, that is, predicting the prediction of others. Listening to Loki's chattering in his ear, Mobius finally couldn't bear it anymore. Please, just shut up. Where is the man who was so talkative in the elevator with me? You are here to help me catch a higher version of you. As for other things, I don't care at all. What? Loki was a little annoyed. I don't think you should use the word higher to describe that guy. Look, here we go again. That's it. Mobius sneered. I used to foolishly think that your insecurity of needing to prove yourself would motivate you to catch the murderer. It's not because you care about the mission of the Time Administration or want to be a hero. It's because you can't stand the fact that this time criminal is more powerful than you, and you can't accept this fact. Well said. Listening to Mobius's undisguised provocation, Loki showed a nonchalant smile on his face and even reached out to help Mobius adjust his tie. But if you think you can influence me like this, then you are too naive. Opening his hands, the smile on Loki's face became more arrogant. I'm at least 10 steps ahead of you. I have always had my own plan. Mobius also directly refuted. What do you want to do? Speak sweet words in front of the Time Guardians, trick them, and then control the entire Time Administration. Am I right? This is the double trick of the most powerful liar in history? Loki's expression gradually stiffened, his mouth opened wide, and his face finally couldn't help showing horror. Seeing Mobius walk away to press the elevator, Loki finally couldn't help asking, since you know, why did you still vouch for me in the office just now? Mobius pointed at Loki and said, I'll give you 2 reasons, whichever you want to believe. Because I saw a frightened little boy shivering in the cold wind, so I felt sympathy. B. I really want to catch that escaped Loki. Ha 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 ha. In the screening room, Loki burst into laughter upon seeing this. Chapter 33, The Destruction of Asgard. Very good. As expected of my counterpart. Even the low-level Loki has the wisdom to crush you mortals. In the screening room, Loki said in a tone That deserved a beating. I really want to beat him up. The others looked at Loki with unfriendly eyes. In the Avengers building, Loki here also had a satisfied expression on his face. That low-level Loki is right. The low-level Loki in the live broadcast has completely led Mobius astray. Loki, what are you talking about? You idiot. Loki explained to Thor helplessly. After all, he is his brother, and he has to admit it, no matter how stupid he is. My goal has always been to unite with that time criminal Loki, join forces with him, and overthrow this shitty time management bureau. That's why I used all kinds of nonsense to delay time. And that low-level Loki's words were just to get out of the way and divert attention. That Mobius was completely deceived. He thought I wanted to meet the Guardian of Time. But in fact, I was just diverting his attention. Do you understand? Loki looked particularly weak and exhausted in the last sentence, just like the scene where someone still got the math problem wrong after I explained it 8 times, and I still had to bite the bullet and explain it again. Everyone looked at Loki with a helpless face, but no one relaxed their vigilance against him. After the Battle of Twisting Waste City, Loki's threat level was top level on Earth. If it weren't for the 2 great gods Odin and Ancient One here, the other Avengers would never be able to coexist peacefully with Loki. In the Battle of Twisting Waste City, Loki also demonstrated his strategy, and it was almost successful. If Black Widow hadn't found a way to get the information out, SHIELD's aircraft carrier wouldn't have lasted until Captain America 2. It's not even a month since it was launched, but it's already preparing for the 7th day of mourning. In the screening room, everyone had a new understanding of this god of tricks after listening to Loki's explanation. This guy, let alone his direct combat ability, is really worthy of being the god of tricks when it comes to playing tricks. That Mobius thought he had studied you thoroughly, but he didn't expect that he was fooled by you from the beginning. Strange sighed softly, and his eyes looked at Loki with a bit more solemnity. It seems that putting you on the A-level special attention list is still an underestimation of you. Strange said silently, you really should be promoted to S-level. If the Loki in our world still has your power, it must be the highest level. In your opinion, if your future self can really join forces with the other Loki, what will you two do next? Counterattack the Time Management Bureau? Loki shrugged, and his face showed that kind of evil smile again. Of course, these bastards caught me and made me suffer so much humiliation. If I don't repay them, what kind of god of trickery would I be? Avengers building. Good job, Loki. Thor slapped Loki, who had just climbed up to the ground again. Well done. Let those bastards know that you are not easy to mess with. Let them know the consequences of angering the Asgardians. Loki curled up on the ground, thinking whether it was too late to break off relations with this guy now. And Mobius gave Loki one last chance to prove himself. That is to look through the information in the archives and see if he can find anything different from Loki's perspective. I have to say that, although Mobius is just a mortal, his wisdom is top-notch among mortals. Loki said, first, he was able to see through one of my plans, and in this case, he still had the courage to let me check the information. Not bad. If there is a chance, I might consider accepting him under my command. It's his honor. Looking at Loki's routine illness, the others didn't say much. They were used to it, almost used to it. Loki came to the archives and tried to find the information of the Guardian of Time. After all, to defeat the enemy, you must understand the enemy. There is a saying that the person who knows you best is not your friends and family, or even yourself, but your enemy. Loki is obviously not the kind of reckless man who shouts for the glory of the North God with a hammer and starts to charge fearlessly. Even if he has been influenced by Asgard culture for 1,500 years in Asgard, Loki's nature still makes him know that he cannot fight an unprepared battle. Then Loki learned that he had no authority. Then what can I see? A few seconds later, Loki sat on a table and flipped through his life. While flipping through, Loki found a document with some extraordinary things written on it. Asgard Ragnarok. At this moment, Loki's expression became solemn. Ragnarok, level 7 Doomsday. Ragnarok? What is that? Loki was confused, although he really didn't know about the destruction of Asgard. There is a legend about Ragnarok on Earth. Peter said weakly. Ragnarok is a series of great disasters predicted in Norse mythology, including a war that caused the deaths of many important gods, causing countless natural disasters, and then the whole world sank under the water. However, in the end the world revived, and the surviving gods and 2 humans rebuilt a new world. That's probably the story. Bruce Wayne also said, I know more about Ragnarok. In my world, Ragnarok was caused by you, Loki. Mortal, watch your words. Loki's dark blue face turned ugly on the spot. Your 3 children, Fenrir, the sky-devouring wolf, ate Odin and bit off an arm of Tyr, the god of war. Jormungandr, the world serpent, died together with Thor, the god of thunder. Hela, the goddess of death, led the army of the undead in the underworld to attack the Rainbow Bridge. Enough. These are all rumors made up by you mortals. Loki said, I don't have any children at all. Bruce Wayne didn't say anything. He didn't say that in the Norse mythology on Earth. Loki, was Odin's sworn brother. Thor was his eldest nephew, and Odin's mount, the 8-legged divine horse, was him, Loki, who turned himself into a mare, and then seduced the giant's divine horse, himself. Loki gave birth to his own children. I have to say, that Norse mythology and Greek mythology are really confusing. I don't understand, but I was shocked. JPG Ragnarok, what is that? Looking at the destruction of Asgard on the screen, Thor went berserk and roared, Who destroyed Asgard? Was it Thanos? I must kill him. Looking at his furious son, Odin sighed softly, calm down, Thor, this has nothing to do with Thanos. Seeing his silly son looking at him with a puzzled look, Odin said with some helplessness, this is all my responsibility. I have spent my whole life trying to stop her, but once my time is up, she will appear from hell. After seeing himself disappear in a golden photon, Odin had already guessed, and now he is completely sure. Who? Hell? Thor was confused. It's Hela, the goddess of death. Looking at Thor, Odin seemed to have aged a little. That's my eldest daughter, and your sister. Sister? Thor's brain began to freeze again. Wasn't he Odin's eldest son? How did a sister suddenly appear? Odin said calmly, before you were born, Hela also conquered the 9 realms for me, and made many military achievements. But later her ambition expanded to an uncontrollable level, so I had to seal Hela up. Once I die, the restriction on Hela will be automatically broken, and then. To be honest, I almost vomited talking about that question. Several good students almost vomited listening to it. There are still some people who can't do it. I really want to cry, really. I almost doubted my life. Chapter 34 Hela and Surtur. Odin himself was thinking. Adding the words of the mortal in the live broadcast room, Odin was almost certain. Ragnarok was definitely related to Hela. But, Odin had a doubt in his heart. That is, there was no reason for Hela to destroy Asgard. As Odin's eldest daughter, Hela had the same ability as Odin. As long as she was in Asgard, she could become stronger. According to Hela's character, it was possible to conquer the 9 realms or kill endlessly, but that required a premise. That is, she had to have enough power, and the source of Hela's power was Asgard. In terms of emotion and reason, Hela would only try her best to protect Asgard, instead of destroying it. Odin couldn't figure it out. Loki looked at the document about the destruction of Asgard, and the expression on his face suddenly became extremely solemn. Then, he left the library with the document in his arms, and came to the restaurant of the Time Administration. Finding Mobius, Loki spoke his conclusion. As soon as he sat down, he's hiding in Doomsday. Loki reached out, and took the salad that Mobius was eating. Suppose your salad is Asgard. Loki took a bottle of salt. I can go to Asgard and do whatever I want before Ragnarok completely destroys everything. For example, throw Hulk off the Rainbow Bridge. Loki sprinkled salt into the salad. Or burn the palace down. Mobius looked upset when he saw his lunch being ruined like this. No. Stop it. Don't burn the palace down. Understand? Loki said excitedly. I can do whatever I want, and it won't have any impact. It won't violate the established sacred timeline, because Loki took a box of drinks from Cass's table next to him and poured it into Mobius' salad. Ragnarok. No matter what I do, Surtur will destroy Asgard. So that's why you ruined my lunch? Surtur? In the Avengers building, Loki frowned when he heard this. He knew something about Surtur, the king of the Fire Kingdom and the king of the Fire Giants. That guy alone could destroy the entire Asgard and turn the Asgardians into interstellar refugees. To be honest, Loki didn't believe it. It should be related to the Eternal Flame. Odin said, the Eternal Flame is the source of Surtur's power. It has incredible power. I defeated Surtur and snatched the Eternal Flame from him and sealed it in the treasury of Asgard. You have seen it. If Surtur's crown is combined with the Eternal Flame, then Surtur will gain infinite power. With the support of that power, Surtur will be able to turn Asgard into ruins. I understand, Father. Thor said excitedly. After the live broadcast, I will go to Muspelheim to find Surtur, snatch his crown, and seal it in a safe place, so that his crown and the Eternal Flame will never be combined. Silly child, it's not that simple. Odin sighed. If Ragnarok could really be solved so easily, he would have done it long ago. Surtur is not the point. The point is Hela, his eldest daughter, the goddess of death who terrified the 9 realms. She is the biggest problem. Ragnarok wiped out the existence of salt. It also wiped out everything else. Loki put the juice in his hand aside, with a smug smile on his face. It doesn't matter what kind of doomsday it is, maybe it's tsunami, a meteorite, a volcanic eruption, or a supernova explosion. If everyone, everything, and everything in a certain place are destined to be completely destroyed, then no matter what I do on that timeline, there will definitely be no time branch. Therefore, that time offender Loki is likely hiding in the doomsday. Not bad. Looking at Loki's vivid explanation, Mobius nodded slightly. Loki opened his hands and said excitedly, take me to a real doomsday, to Ragnarok, I'll show you. Mobius put his hands in his trouser pockets and said speechlessly, okay, then you can run back to your hometown. You're dreaming. Loki, I didn't expect to go home. We can go anywhere. Mobius rejected Loki mercilessly. No, I won't even take you for a walk in the seaside park, let alone the end of the world. Loki looked very disappointed. Oh, Mobius, come on, what's the problem? We need to test this theory. Mobius sneered. I do have an interesting theory. You want me to take you out and then stab me in the back, but I don't want to take the risk. Loki looked very surprised, as if he was completely shocked by what Mobius said. I have never stabbed anyone in the back. This portrayal is too uncreative. Mobius was speechless. Loki, I have studied every moment of your life. You have stabbed people in the back at least 50 times. Hey. In the screening room, Loki said very dissatisfiedly, why are you looking at me like this? That was the life of that low-level Loki. I'm the highest level Loki. Don't compare those low-level Lokis with me. This is quite rude. You are worthy of being Loki. Tony Stark has completely given up the idea of refutation of Loki's idea. There is no need, really no need. It is stupid to spend time on this issue with such a person. Loki was speechless after being questioned by Mobius and spread his hands with embarrassment. Okay, then I will never stab anyone in the back again, because this is really too cliché. Seeing that Mobius still refused to believe it, Loki had no choice but to release his last big move. You don't have to believe me, but you have to believe one thing. I like to prove that I'm right. Seemingly finally convinced by Loki's words, Mobius took him to Pompeii in Rome. According to the timeline, this place will soon cause a volcanic eruption, and then it will be buried by magma and volcanic ash. Facing the doomsday, Loki became extremely excited, jumping into the crowd and speaking crazy news in Latin, which shocked the people. But even so, the instrument in Mobius's hand still showed the time variable as. The scene in front of him completely stunned Mobius. The two returned to the time administration and found the most likely one from a pile of doomsdays. Alabama, 2050. Looking at the file that Loki placed in front of him, Mobius finally showed admiration on his face. I have to worry that you will take my job in the future. Then Mobius spent a lot of effort to convince the female judge to send a task force to the apocalyptic future of 2050 to capture the fugitive time criminal Loki. More monthly tickets from the two brothers, more and more updates. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 Pain Card, Go to Death Group, Invincible Mosquito. Through the portal, Mobius and others came to Roxcott in 2050, a super large supermarket. Although this place will soon be destroyed by a hurricane, it is very suitable for the fugitive Loki to use this place as a base, because of the abundant food and supplies. Mobius originally planned to take Loki with him, but the black female guard refused him in the name of on-site command, and took Loki away by herself. The black female guard and Loki entered the green plant area, where plants are sold in pairs. Here, they met a black man who claimed to be buying plants. The female guard stepped forward and tried to stop the other party, but unexpectedly, when she was touched by the black man's hand, accompanied by a green light, her whole demeanor changed. "So, you are the idiot sent by the Time Management Bureau to hunt me down." Looking at the black female guard who turned around with a mysterious smile on her face, Loki's eyes also changed slightly. "I think you are me," the female guard said nonchalantly. "Everyone has his own identity, and you are me." Loki's mouth curved up, and he also showed a big smile. "It's nice to see you." End of Loki, Part 1. This live broadcast ends here. The next live broadcast will be in 10 days. Please go and draw the penalty card. The card drawing machine has been updated this time. The black machine is the penalty card drawing machine. Please check the specific update data yourself. Temporary transmission starts now. The screening room will be forced to close in 24 hours. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Here we go again. Everyone looked like they were about to vomit blood. Every time it gets stuck at the critical moment, it's gone. Just like those network novel authors. Wonder, my god. There must be something wrong with this screening room system. Alfred, although I have gradually gotten used to it, it's still very uncomfortable. Peter Parker, so what exactly does the conversation between Mr. Loki and the guard mean in the last paragraph? Loki, boy, I'm correcting you. It was the low-level Loki. Also, you can't see it so obviously. Mortals are always mortals, and can't touch the wisdom of gods. Strange, don't worry about that megalomaniac. I have seen a kind of possession magic in the library of Kamatage. If I'm not mistaken, the guard should be possessed by the time prisoner Loki. Loki, mortal, watch your words. But as a third-rate magician, your knowledge is still good. I do master a kind of possession magic, but compared to controlling a person through possession, I prefer to use clones and illusions. Bruce Wayne, it seems that the two Lokis have now joined together. The name Loki Part I reminds me of a movie or a TV series. Tony Stark, we are watching something similar to a movie, aren't we? Wolverine, I'm more curious about the mechanism of the penalty card. Most of the people in the live broadcast room and the screening room participated in the Q&A before, and then all of them were wiped out. This caused many people to draw a pain card. At the same time, many people were teleported into the screening room. This damn place is really cold. Wolverine complained as soon as he came in. Don't mention it, it's all that guy's fault. Magneto, who was hiding in the light particle barrier, said, "Humph. Low life. Get it clear. You started it first." Loki retorted unyieldingly, "You actually called me low life." Magneto was angry. He always regarded his mutant bloodline as a higher life, the next stage of human evolution. Moreover, Magneto, who had experienced World War II and attached great importance to bloodline race, could not stand this anger. Alright. Hickory and Ace grabbed one each and forcibly separated them. Feeling the terrifying power of the two, Loki and Magneto were not easy to take action. After all, this was a powerful alien who was said to be able to smash the planet. Ace raised his hand and released a strong heat, gradually raising the temperature of the entire screening room. "It's so warm." Peter Parker walked out of the light particle barrier carefully. Seriously, Captain, they should install an air conditioner here." Tony complained to the captain who had just arrived here. "By the way, did you feel the same way when you crashed?" Captain America smiled helplessly. He had plunged into the icy lake with the cosmic cube and was sealed for 70 years. That was not a good feeling. "Okay, everyone, who goes first?" I don't know who asked it first. Then the whole audience was silent. After a moment, Ace walked up and said, "I'll go first. Card drawing machine version 2.0. Card drawing machine 2.0. White machine. Consume 10 points to draw once, and the reward cards are divided into gold, purple, blue, green, white, and gray. Rewards come from all the heavens and worlds. Yellow machine. You can consume different points to draw cards of fixed levels. Gold card 200 points, purple card 100 points, blue card 50 points, green card 30 points, white card 10 points. The reward is the content played in this video. Black machine. Draw penalty cards. The penalty card levels are Pain card, Nightmare card, Hell card, Abyss card, Multivariate card. So, the Pain card is the lowest level? Ace told everyone the updated information, and then in the eyes of everyone, he drew the first Pain card. Pain card, Sleepiness introduction. Sleep is the best medicine to soothe the pain in the heart, but excessive sleep becomes a trouble. Effect. 1 hour after leaving the theater, you will become extremely sleepy, sleeping an average of about 23 hours a day, and the effect will last for 7 days. It seems that this punishment is not very strong. Peter Parker looked at the so-called penalty card that only made people sleep, and the fear in his heart also dissipated a lot. Pain card, if we analyze it just from the name, it should just mean to make people suffer. Strange, a neurologist, finally used his expertise. Narcolepsy is also a neurological disease in medicine, and I happen to be a neurologist, but, looking at Ace, Strange said helplessly, as for the physiology of aliens, this is beyond my knowledge, and I don't know what will happen to you. I'll be next. Wolverine strode forward. Because of the immortality caused by the self-healing factor, Wolverine was not too afraid of these punishment cards. When he saw this scene, he was even less afraid. Pain card, Go to Hell and Kill Order, Invincible Mosquito. Introduction, Go to Hell and Kill Group is one of the 10 weird organizations in the multiverse. This organization has many branches, among which there is an assassination-like assassin group. Now, you are being targeted by them. Effect, the assassin group will send their killer Invincible Mosquito to hunt you down for 7 days. Invincible Mosquito, a strange mosquito bred by the killer group of another dimension. It will hunt down the people on the killing order endlessly until the killing order is cancelled. The skills of the Invincible Mosquito are as follows. 1. Unpredictable. You will never find out about their existence. 2. Endless harassment. They will not appear during the day, but the moment you lie down to sleep at night, they will move out and start buzzing in your ears until you are annoyed and can't sleep. When you open your eyes and turn on the light, they will disappear as quickly as possible. 3. Biting. The Invincible Mosquito will bite you in the weakest place when you are not paying attention, such as eyelids, ears, back. And it is difficult to reduce swelling when bitten, and it will itch at the same time. 4. Invincible. Since they are invincible mosquitoes, they cannot be eliminated. Mosquito coils, flames, and extreme cold are all ineffective against them. Fuck. That idiot released this thing. It itches me to death. Go to Hell Group Alternate Dimension Killer Group A Certain Killer. Keep adding more chapters for the monthly tickets, and for those who give me rewards, as long as you vote for the monthly tickets and give me rewards, I will definitely add more chapters, right? Chapter 36 Nightmare Card, The Trial of the 5 Tiger Generals. What the hell is this? Wolverine Logan had a question mark on his face. To be honest, when he just saw the interdimensional killer group, he was ready for a big fight. And you told me that my opponent is just a group of mosquitoes? Exclamation mark. Are you kidding? Exclamation mark. When the others saw the pain card in Logan's hand, they laughed out loud. Is this interdimensional killer group a joke? I suggest changing it to an interdimensional comedy group. Yeah, trying to use a group of mosquitoes to chase and kill others. Are you trying to annoy them to death? It looks scary, but aren't they actually a group of mosquitoes? No. Bruce Wayne suddenly said, this interdimensional killer group is definitely not just a joke. What's wrong, mortal? Are you afraid of mosquitoes? Loki asked with a smile. Imagine a group of mosquitoes. As soon as you close your eyes, they start buzzing in your ears, and then you open your eyes and want to hit them, but you can't find them. Would you be very angry and irritated? As soon as this was said, everyone was silent. Then it bites big lumps on your eyelids, ears, and other places, which are very itchy. Silence. Continued silence. More importantly, this harassment is continuous. Silence. Silence is a Cambridge tonight. The most important thing is that you can only endure this feeling yourself. If you tell others about it, they will either laugh it off or ignore you, or treat you as a psycho. Fuck. I don't know who cursed. What a vicious method. Fortunately it only lasts 7 days. Hey. Wolverine said dissatisfiedly, don't underestimate me. I have been fighting since the War of Independence. So many bullets and shells didn't knock me down back then. Can I be annoyed to death by a group of mosquitoes? You know, the place where I fought back then was full of mosquitoes, and insects more disgusting than mosquitoes were everywhere. Looking at the confident Wolverine, Bruce Wayne didn't say much, and the others didn't worry about it. Anyway, it's just a mosquito. Can it still kill people? I'll be next. Tony Stark stepped forward and pulled the card drawing machine. Pain card. Severe cold. Introduction. Colds have always been incurable diseases, and they rely entirely on the immune system to fight them. Severe colds only deepen your pain. Effect. 1 hour after leaving the screening room, you will suffer from a severe cold for 7 days, with fever, headache, runny nose, body aches, weakness in limbs, and loss of appetite. That's it? Tony Stark walked away fearlessly. It's just a severe cold. I thought it was something else. Hickory also walked over and drew a card. But when he saw this card, he also laughed. Pain card. Insomnia. Introduction. Sleep has always been a good medicine to soothe the pain in your heart, and when you lose sleep, you will find out how painful it is. Effect. 1 hour after leaving the screening room, you will enter a state of insomnia for 7 days. What a coincidence. One of you aliens suffers from insomnia and the other suffers from sleepiness. Tony Stark raised his eyebrows and said, Doctor, you can consider opening an alien clinic. Strange rolled his eyes and also went up to draw a card. Pain card. Forgetfulness. Introduction. Memory is very important. You may want to forget some painful memories, but you prefer to keep those pleasant and happy memories, or those important information. However, the facts are always willing to go against you. Effect. Your happy memories and important information in your mind will begin to be forgotten, but your painful memories will be remembered very clearly. Fortunately, its effect only lasts for 7 days. Okay. Strange shrugged. It's only 7 days anyway. Wang also came up. Let me try. Pain card. Penniless. Introduction. Money. It is not omnipotent, but it is absolutely impossible to be without money. When you are penniless, how can you live in a country controlled by the government? Effect. After leaving the screening room, you will enter a penniless state. Any money will not stay with you for 10 minutes, and you will lose money in various ways. Forget it. I only have $1.25 on me anyway. Wang walked aside silently, feeling that this is the fate of the mage. Bruce Wayne, Alfred, and Captain America looked at each other, and Bruce took the lead. Pain card. Inflammation. Introduction. Inflammation is inflammation. Generally speaking, inflammation is beneficial because it is a defense mechanism of the human body, but sometimes, inflammation becomes harmful. Effect. 1 hour after leaving the screening room, a certain part of your body will begin to become inflamed. For 7 days, 1 part a day, and they will be superimposed. It looks like the problem is not big. Alfred also knew that the young man behind him was the unlucky one who was going to draw the nightmare card, so he chose to let the young man stay until the end. Pain card. Spider surprise. Introduction. This 8-legged creature can always bring you surprises, and they are poisonous. Effect. You will start to encounter spiders 1 hour after leaving the screening room. Any kind of spider in your world will rush towards you in a group. This effect lasts for 7 days. Well, it seems that there is only one heavyweight left, Loki said with a gloating look on his face. He still had a lot of resentment towards the group of Earthlings who defeated him, even though it was his bad luck in a sense. Relax, Captain. We will fight with you. Tony patted Captain America on the shoulder, but he was also a little nervous. Don't worry, Tony. I've been through as much as you have. That's true. I haven't been frozen into a big ice cube for decades. Ignoring Tony's witty words, Captain America walked to the card drawing machine, looked at the note on it that said please pull twice, took a deep breath, and pulled the lever. Pain card, diarrhea, introduction. Diarrhea, also known as diarrhea, is not a disease, but it hurts so much. You may have to be prepared to stay in the toilet. At the same time, you'd better prepare saline or something. Effect: 1 hour after leaving the theater, you will start to have diarrhea. The frequency and intensity of diarrhea are random, but it's very uncomfortable anyway. After completing the extraction of the pain card, Captain America pulled the lever for the second time, and a brand new nightmare card appeared in front of everyone. Nightmare card, Trial of the 5 Tiger Generals. I have to take the bus all afternoon, and then I have to correct the papers for the midterm exam, so the update may be delayed. Chapter 37, The Power of Nightmare Card. Nightmare card, Trial of the 5 Tiger Generals. Introduction. In the mysterious Eastern Land, there are 5 powerful beings. Not only can they easily defeat opponents with much larger size and strength than themselves, but they can also kill ferocious beasts with their bare hands. In addition, they also have amazing speed and endurance, and can break gold and split rocks. Netizens call them the 5 Tiger Generals of Tiba. They are Tiger Shovel Aurelia, Captain of Gears How Liu Zunrong, Bear Hunter with Bare Hands Tantengs, Strongman Nemesis Tong Yeokin, and Trajectory Predictor Beilunhu. Tiger Shovel Aurelia. She was originally an ordinary college student, but with the guidance of an expert, she mastered the skill of sliding shovel, and has killed giant white-browed insects many times, to protect the safety of the villagers. Captain of Gears How Liu Zunrong. Liu Zunrong suffered a genetic mutation when he was born. Not only is his body twice as big as that of an ordinary baby, but his strength is also far greater than that of an ordinary person. He never cried or made a fuss. He could catch chickens with his bare hands at the age of 2, fold his own quilt at the age of 4, lift a 20-kilogram bucket of water with one hand at the age of 7, and bench press 200 kilograms at the age of 15. Liu Zunrong, a junior high school student, defeated more than 20 strong men in the school gate in 75 minutes, and ran more than 30 kilometers. Facing the surprised eyes of the onlookers, he just said lightly, "People's physiques are different, and cannot be generalized." Bear Hunter with bare hands. The identity of the Bear Hunter is very mysterious, and he is very low-key, resulting in very little information about him. An insider once said that his real identity is a famous bear hunter with bare hands in Maozi. He has defeated local black bears with bare hands several times, and can be called a black bear killer. Tong Yeokin, the strong man's nemesis. Tong Yeokin has been practicing the art of 4 ounces to move 1,000 pounds for many years. He is good at using force to fight force. His attainments are so high that even Tekai masters can hardly compare with him. Not only is he good at using his back to gain leverage, but his fighting style is also very strange and varied, often using less than 1% of the opponent's strength to defeat a huge enemy. Ballistic Predictor Beilunhu. He has a magical ability to predict ballistics. He can predict the opponent's firing time and trajectory in advance based on the type of the opponent's firearms and the slight vibration before firing. Beilunhu once predicted the trajectory of 30 rounds of the opponent's AK-47 rifle in a row when he was extremely angry. Not only did he remain unscathed, but he also took advantage of the interval time when the opponent changed the magazine and used his long famous stunned reincarnation fist to knock the opponent down with one punch. Therefore, he became famous in one battle, and you need to go through their trials. Effect: 1 hour after leaving the screening room, you will enter the 5 Tigers trial mode. The 5 Tigers trial will be randomly opened every day, and it may be opened at any time and anywhere. You must complete it before the end of the day, otherwise the 5 Tigers trial will never be closed. Tiger Shovel Trial. You need to kill a giant tiger, and you need to complete the following actions at least once, while evading the tiger's attack by sliding. Use a cold weapon to cut its stomach open and let its internal organs flow out. On a trial, 20 strong men will come out to attack you. You must knock them down, and then you need to run 30,000 meters. These operations must be completed within 75 minutes. Bear hunting trial. You need to kill 2 adult male brown bears, and you must complete the action of choking a brown bear once. Strongman trial. You will face an enemy twice your size, and find a way to knock him unconscious within 1 second. Reincarnation trial. You will face a sweeping shot from an AK-47 rifle, dodge it, survive, and then knock out the guy who shot you with a gun. When Captain America's nightmare card was announced, the whole audience was shocked. This is too difficult. Parker looked at Captain America and felt that the Death Star on his forehead was shining. These trials, let alone killing tigers and hammering brown bears, even running 30,000 meters in 75 minutes can tire him to death. Not bad, Captain. Tony Stark's eyelids twitched when he saw these trials. The difference between the pain card and the nightmare card is a bit too big. If the pain card is a joke between children, then the nightmare card is a real fight. Nightmare card, it's really a nightmare. Captain America smiled bitterly. It's also thanks to him that he is a modified person strengthened by the super soldier serum. Otherwise, if it was someone else, any trial would probably be a dead end. But even he felt a tingling sensation on his scalp when he saw these 5 anti-human trials. This is not something that a human can accomplish. Is this the mysterious Oriental power? Captain America said with emotion. It's incredible. If I have the chance, I would like to meet these Oriental strongmen. Wolverine said on the side. That guy named Liu Zunrong. His physical strength is really terrifying. That Liu Zunrong must be a mutant. Magneto said on the side. It is impossible for ordinary humans to have such terrible endurance and physical strength. This, sir, the test of the nightmare card. Peter looked at Captain America with a worried face. Don't worry, Kit, he is Captain America, an old monster who has been frozen in an ice lake for decades. Tony said he didn't care, but the worry in his eyes still revealed his thoughts. Strange said, thanks to the fact that there is only 1 item per day and your honor trial has been modified. Otherwise, the difficulty of this card can probably be called a more advanced hell card. No, I think the difficulty of the hell card is more than that. Bruce Wayne suddenly said, you see, there is basically no risk of death in the pain card, but the risk of the nightmare card is already very high. If an ordinary person comes, it is almost a 100% chance of death. I guess that gentleman is not an ordinary person, but whether it is a tiger or a brown bear, they are beasts that can easily kill an ordinary adult. If I were to deal with a tiger, I would have to be very careful. Bruce Wayne is always an ordinary person. He has the smartest brain and super physical fitness, and is proficient in various fighting styles and fighting skills, and knows dozens of languages. But he is still an ordinary person. If someone shoots him in the head with a gun, he will still be dead, although the protagonist Hail of the Master will not die, even if the multiverse explodes. In this regard, he is not even as good as a mutant with regenerative ability. He had to fight a beast that could easily exert 4 tons of force, weighed more than 500 kilograms, and had a bite force of about 450 kilograms. He had to slide to avoid the attack, so he had to be careful. At most, he could use his billions of dollars to buy 2 more pieces of equipment. The difficulty of the nightmare card is already a level that ordinary people will die, and they must have extraordinary abilities to survive. So will the hell card really be about facing creatures like the legendary demon? Chapter 38 European Emperor Hickory. I have dealt with creatures like demons before. The Mage King at the side also walked over and said, to be honest, some low-level demons are more difficult to deal with besides being covered in hellfire, and may not be able to beat a tiger. For example, the lowest level inferior demons and lone bat-winged demons, as well as hellhounds. If the difficulty of a nightmare card is 100 times that of a pain card, I personally guess that a hell card will have to face the Lord of Hell directly. As for the Abyss cards and multiverse cards above, I dare not even think about it. No matter how difficult the nightmare card is, I dare not even think about what the Abyss cards and multiverse cards can do. After discussing for a long time, everyone could not come to a conclusion, and Hickory walked to the white machine, ready to draw a reward card. Are you going to take a gamble? Strange asked. Are you not going to save up anymore? The last time I got the Eternal Spear gave me a lot of inspiration, so I'm going to give it another try, and try my luck. Hikaru said to everyone. Anyway, the worst it can be is just a grey card, so it's worth it. After that, Hikaru pulled the lever. A few seconds later, a card with a blue glow was spit out. Card, advanced ball, item card, effect, get an advanced ball after use, introduction, also known as Pokémon Ball, Monster Ball, a space item that can be used to capture Pokémon, also known as Pokémon, etc. Pokéballs can be made from different colors of round-grained fruit or mixed metals. Pokéballs made from different colors of round-grained fruit have different effects, and Pokéballs made from mixed metals also have many functions. The most common Pokéball, red and white, is the capture function. The advanced ball has a higher capture rate and better comfort than ordinary Pokéballs. A blue card worth 50 points, I got it just by drawing it. This is the real Emperor of Luck. Don't be jealous, last time he got a gold card directly. Seeing Hikaru get a blue card worth 50 points with just one shot, it was a bit hard for the newcomers to accept it, and even Loki thought that I could do it, but the old people all knew how lucky this blue creature was. Is this the power of scientists? Exclamation mark. So terrifying, so terrifying. Aren't you going to draw a lottery? Strange looked at Bruce Wayne, who had no intention of going up and drawing again. No. Bruce Wayne shook his head and said, now the card drawing machine has been revised, and a minimum of 30 points is a green card. I plan to accumulate some points and exchange them for a higher level card when I have enough. Bruce Wayne is not in a hurry for the time being. So far, as long as he is not greedy, he can get a lot of benefits in this live broadcast room. And it is quite safe. The pain card is at most uncomfortable, which is nothing to Bruce Wayne. However, the power of the nightmare card is enough to make Bruce Wayne alert. But the advantage of this screening room is that it is not forced. So far, all the recipients of the pain card and nightmare card have been punished only after they answered the questions incorrectly. If you want to get benefits, then you must take risks. If you can get benefits without any danger, it would be too wonderful. Bruce Wayne said that this is completely acceptable. He just needs to accumulate points little by little when the screening room is asking questions about pain cards. With a base of 30 points, his starting point is higher than others. And he didn't forget that as one of the 2 people who answered the most questions correctly this time, he should have extra rewards. In the screening room, everyone was exchanging information with each other, especially the 3 scientists, Hickory, Bruce Wayne, and Tony Stark. When the 3 smartest brains in the universe come together, no one knows what will happen. I think, since you can send equipment to Bambi, Loki, it means we can exchange items with each other. Tony Stark said, as you can see, my universe is always under the threat of that purple potato spirit. Although it is not pleasant to do this, I still want to exchange technology with you. I have no objection. Bruce Wayne said okay. Hikaru hesitated at this moment. Logically, I shouldn't agree to your request. Hikaru said, we can't interfere with the development of civilizations on other planets. After all, if a civilization wants to develop for a long time, it must rely on its own strength. But you are exchanging technology with us to protect the Earth and the entire universe. It would be great if we could travel across the multiverse. In that case, I would directly call the Space Guard and the Ultra Brothers to your universe to help you beat that crazy purple potato spirit and his warships into cosmic dust, and there would be no problem. Hearing Hikaru's casual words about blasting the powerful Titan and an entire space battleship into cosmic dust, the other 2 people's faces froze. Can you people of the Land of Light travel across the universe in your physical bodies? Tony Stark couldn't help but ask. Generally speaking, we still use various aircrafts. Hikaru said, usually, we use a Red Bull aircraft to travel, but it is not impossible to travel in the universe with our physical body. The training subjects of the Space Guard also include physical training such as flying around our planet 100 times. Bruce Wayne didn't know what expression to use to face Hikaru. He had a hard time even leaving the Earth, but they already took flying around the planet as a basic training subject. How can they compare? We once had an example of flying all the way from the Kingdom of Light to Earth to support the Ultra Brothers on Earth. Hikari sighed, but Ultra Father, who went to support them at that time, was exhausted and only lost a life when he arrived there. In the end, it was Ace who fought back. After all, a distance of 1,600 light years is a bit far, and Ultra Father later said that he wiped out several fleets of alien pirates on the way there, and then defeated a cosmic monster Bemonston that was causing chaos across galaxies, which consumed a lot of physical strength. Finally, he was exhausted when he arrived on Earth. The above is pure nonsense, don't worry about it. The two people were numb directly. The combat power of the two sides is not at the same level at all. However, this also completely aroused Tony Stark's competitive spirit. Isn't it just aliens? Isn't it just dismantling starships with bare hands? Exclamation mark. Wait for me to make an anti-Ultraman armor. At this time, the voice of the cinema sounded. There are 3 Q&A sessions in this screening. Bruce Wayne and Loki Odinson answered correctly 1 times, tied for first place in this screening. Rewards will be distributed now. Chapter 39, Frozen into a Dog. Churros Ryu Martial Arts Introduction. Churros Ryu and Kamazan Ryu are 2 opposing martial arts schools in a world where the fighting power has collapsed. Their leaders, Kamazan Ryu and Churros Ryu, are both the proud students of Master Takeshita and are the only 2 people who survived the battle against Piccolo. Moves: Air Dance, Sun Fist, 4 Demon Fist, Volleyball Fist, Whole Wave, Kigen Cannon 1. Kigen Cannon, turn the ki in the body into energy bombs and release them in one breath, which can cause extremely terrifying damage, but excessive consumption of ki will affect the human body and may also affect lifespan. 2. Air Dance, through the use of ki, practitioners can fly into the sky and move freely in the air without being affected by gravity. 3. Sunfist, release strong light through ki, which can temporarily blind the opponent. 4. Whole Wave. Whole Wave is another signature move of Churros and Ryu. The release speed is faster than that of Kigen Cannon, but the damage range is not as large as that of Kigen Cannon. Is this also the mysterious power from the east? It can make the body glow and fly freely in the sky. The mysterious power from the east is so strong. Isn't that ancient one also a representative of the power of the ancient east? Now that you tell me that those legendary immortals who can fly into the sky and hide in the ground really exist, I will also consider believing it. Do you think the legendary Eastern Dragon really exists? Bruce Wayne's reward was announced in full screen, and everyone could see it, whether they were in the live broadcast room or not. On the other side, Loki's reward was also issued. Staff, Ice Frozen Dog. Introduction. Although the name may not be very elegant, the power of Ice Frozen Dog should not be underestimated. This Ice Frozen Dog staff is based on the 10,000-year-old ice marrow in the extremely cold land. The 10,000-year-old ice marrow is a natural treasure that can only appear in the extremely cold land. Even if an ordinary ice monster just licks it, it can increase its cultivation by several years. Moreover, the Ice Frozen Dog has extremely low temperature, but it has super high hardness. Therefore, even if it is used as a melee weapon, it is first class. Of course, the premise is that you are not frostbitten by it. The main body of the Ice Frozen Dog is made of the 10,000-year-old cold marrow, and the core frost dog head is carved using the extreme cold heart. In short, the extreme cold heart is the 10,000-year-old cold marrow in the 10,000-year cold marrow. Its creator carved it into a dog head out of some strange bad taste, but its power has not decreased but increased. Although the Ice Frozen Dog looks strange and has higher requirements for the user, if the user meets the requirements, then the Ice Frozen Dog can bring a huge increase. Ice Frozen Dog has several magics attached, including solidity, constant temperature, accelerated energy absorption, etc. Ice Frozen Dog has 2 magics attached, Ice Dog and Dog Head Wall. Ice Dog, detonate a block of ice infused with magic. The power of the detonation is affected by the amount of magic injected, the temperature and solidity of the ice, and the level of the user. Dog Head Wall, summon an ice wall. You can use it to stop the enemy or run away. The Dog Head Wall has a strong taunting effect, and is the best choice for stopping the enemy. Looking at the staff in front of him with a smiling dog head, dog, on the top, Loki reached out and took it with a complicated expression. When Loki's hand grasped the body of the Ice Frozen Dog, a terrifying ice force quickly invaded Loki's body. Even Loki's awakened ice giant body felt a piercing cold. Not only was his body extremely cold, but even his magic power and thoughts began to slow down under the influence of this cold air. This was incredible for Loki, whose body temperature normally reached -170 degrees Celsius, and which could reach -190 or even 200 degrees Celsius after all the ice power was released. But Loki had just awakened his bloodline, and his spirit was high. Moreover, he found that the dog head actually had a taunting effect. The more he looked at it, the more he felt that the dog head on the ice frozen dog staff was taunting him. Could Loki bear this? While actively guiding the ice power into his body, Loki's magic power was also poured into the staff. The boundless cold air was released again. Fortunately, after seeing the introduction of Ice Frozen Dog, Hickory and Ace had already made preparations and released a light particle barrier in advance to separate Loki from the others. What a horrible temperature. Ace looked at the chilly scene inside and couldn't help but sigh. The temperature in here is approaching absolute zero. Absolute zero. Does it really exist? Tony Stark looked at Loki, whose face was dark blue, and the dog head staff in his hand, and asked in disbelief, that only exists in theory. At absolute zero, the movement of all particles will stop. According to our human observations, the lowest temperature in the universe is only -273.149999999999, which is only 0.000000000000001 higher than absolute zero. The universe is so big that there are all kinds of wonders. After Hickory maintained the light particle barrier, he turned around and explained, at least as far as I know, there are many monsters in our universe that can cause this level of low temperature. The theoretical absolute zero only exists in theory. No one knows whether there will be temperatures lower than -273.15 in other universes. That's right, Brother Jack was once frozen by the snow monster Snog. Thanks to Hikaru's super bracelet, otherwise it would be really dangerous. Mr. Loki's face is so ugly now. Peter said worriedly, is he going to be in trouble? Because he wanted to control the powerful force, he was killed by this force. I have seen many such cases. Hikaru seemed to remember something, and then said, don't worry, Kit, you can always trust Superman Aguang's props. In the light particle barrier, Loki died in the fight with Ice Frozen Dog. Cough. When Loki was obviously unable to control Ice Frozen Dog, the super bracelet on his wrist lit up. The light gave Loki power and expelled endless cold air from Loki's body. This gave Loki enough power. Asshole. I'm the god of trickery, the future king of the 9 realms. How could I not be able to subdue a mere popsicle of yours? AA. Chapter 40 Communication among the people. Mortal. Your god is back. Loki held a dog head staff with a proud look on his face, not mentioning the fact that he was almost frozen to death before. Puff. Someone couldn't help laughing. Mortal. How dare you disrespect the gods? A few inconspicuous veins jumped on Loki's forehead. Sorry, I didn't laugh at you. It was mainly your staff. Ha 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 ha. With this laugh, the whole audience laughed. There was no way this shape combined with its name, Ice Frozen Dog, its talent for comedy can even catch up with a fraction of that adult. Enough. Mortal. Loki was so angry that he slammed the floor with the bottom of his staff. It didn't matter at all, but the next second the floor began to frost quickly, and the frost quickly spread to the surroundings. From this, it can be seen that, although Loki's staff has a very high talent for comedy, its own power cannot be underestimated. But there are two masters here. Hickory also released a high temperature under his feet to hit back the frost released by Loki. This was easy for Hikaru, who had mastered the life gasification technology, night ray and heat load ray. Seeing this, Loki could not stay any longer and was about to turn around and leave the theater. He could not wait to go back and freeze those mortals into ice sculptures so that the 9 realms could see his current power. If you plan to go back and destroy the sacred timeline now, my personal suggestion is that you can wait a little longer. Bruce Wayne suddenly said, your current strength can completely crush the people sent by the Time Management Bureau, but there is a premise, that is, at present, if the other party really exists, then they are a powerful organization that can control the timeline after all, and you have seen before that the other party has more than one Infinity Stone. then it means that the other party has definitely fought against opponents with Infinity Stones more than once. From the current point of view, the other party is just an ordinary person who simply uses some ordinary technological weapons. But what about the Time Guardian behind them? Even if the Time Guardian does not exist, then at least the Time Management Bureau must have other backup plans, right? Otherwise, the Infinity Stones have such terrifying power. How could the other party deal with so many enemies who control the power of the Infinity Stones? You are not invincible. At least, you are not an opponent when the two of us join forces. This is still the case when using the props I gave you, right? Hickory also came out and said. After listening to Bruce Wayne and Hickory's words, Loki fell into deep thought. As long as he leaves this screening room, he will have to prepare to face the Time Administration. He had asked before, and since there were no live broadcast viewers in his world was still relative to him at the moment. He had been away for less than 0.001 seconds. So after he returned, he could choose to follow that damn script. But Loki didn't want to. He has now gained huge power. Why should he continue to follow the route planned by that shitty Time Administration? Question mark? So Loki's plan was to go back and make a big fuss in the timeline, attract the people of the Time Administration, and then seize the time device from them, and then rush into the Time Administration, turning those who disobeyed him into ice sculptures, leaving those who obeyed him, and letting them serve him, and he would become the unified Time Administration and the god of the entire sacred timeline, after overthrowing the Time Guardian. But Hickory and Bruce Wayne stopped him. Loki has lived in Asgard for so many years, and the spirit of a reckless man has long been deeply rooted in his bones, but he is still much calmer than other Asgardians. It may be a problem of racial talent. Calm down and think about it. If I really rush in like this, then the possibility of GG is greater. I already have the super backup of the infinite screening room, a place where I can exchange props with different worlds in the multiverse, and I can get more information through the multi-screening. At least my series called Loki has a second half that has not been broadcast. Even if I want to kill my way into the Time Management Bureau, I have to get more information. In my current situation, I only have a superficial understanding of the Time Management Bureau. I'm not a reckless man like Thor. How can I be so stupid as to just pick up a staff and kill it? Yes, it's impossible. I must collect enough information and then make a complete plan before starting my own course of conquering the timeline. And the humans in this screening room are particularly smart. Maybe I can use them. That's right, as long as I make a little preparation, I can use this group of mortals and the 2 aliens to turn them into my sharp blades to conquer the 9 realms. No, how can my goal be limited to just the 9 realms? My goal should be the Sea of Stars. It's the multiverse. Loki was thinking about his grand plan to conquer the multiverse, while Captain America and Tony chatted with Wanda, the Scarlet Witch who did not come. Tony Stark, kid, can you tell me more about you and your brother? Wanda, humph. Tony saw that it was bad. I might have really won the bid. Thinking of this, Tony Iron Man, playboy, billionaire, great scientist, Earth's strongest brain, man cursed by wisdom, Stark, who was fearless and even dared to rush into a black hole with a nuclear bomb, panicked. He dared to face the alien army and the Whiplocks who came for revenge. He could keep his face calm and kill into the desperate virus warrior's nest with some small props made from daily necessities without even an iron battle suit. But when he learned that he was going to be a father and that he had 2 twins who might be teenagers, Tony Stark said he could not accept it for the time being. So he chose to look for help from the captain beside him. Looking at Tony Stark, Captain America complained, "To be honest, Tony, I rarely see you like this." Captain America, Wanda, can you tell me in detail what happened after the battle at Sokovia Castle? Wanda, okay, Captain. Wanda, after the battle at Sokovia Castle, I deliberately left the Mind Staff to Stark, because I knew that according to his personality, he would definitely study the Mind Staff. Wanda, when I was in the castle, I used my superpowers to check the things that you feared the most, and I also saw the fear in Tony Stark's heart, so I deliberately left the Mind Staff. What do you want to watch next? Please tell me. Maybe I wrote it slowly or something. You can take your time to read it. Anyway, free content is free. Just treat it as watching a movie commentary. There must be linkage. Hikari has given the bracelet to Loki, but now is the first official broadcast. It is definitely impossible to be so fast. Chapter 41, Trial of Honor. Until returning to the Avengers building, Tony still didn't ask about his relationship with Wanda. Forget it. It's a blessing, not a curse. If it's a curse, it can't be avoided. Sooner or later, we have to face it. The most urgent thing now is to find those two children first. Although Tony was seriously disturbed before, he was still the proud Tony Stark in his heart. So he chose to face the difficulties. Nick, the captain, and I have to face the penalty card, and the captain's nightmare card is even more difficult, so I'll trouble you to find the two children. Honestly. Nick Fury looked at Tony with his one eye and said, I have some doubts whether the screening room has destroyed your real body and sent a clone. The Tony Stark in my memory is not a character who asks for help easily. Oh. So you plan to tie me up in the laboratory and take blood tests to see if I'm the original one? Tony retorted mercilessly. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Someone is dead now. Nick Fury was not moved at all when Tony said that he was dead. Even the aircraft carrier that I have devoted my life to has been set off by fireworks. Nick Fury's face began to darken, but fortunately, due to his natural advantage, no one noticed. It's better than someone. While Nick Fury and Tony Stark were arguing with each other, Captain America also took his equipment and began to adjust his state. Don't worry, Steve. Thor raised his hammer high and said loudly, whether it's a tiger, a brown bear or anything else, I'm by your side. Right. Loki, enough. I don't care if you insist on lowering yourself to make friends with this group of mortals. But you shouldn't drag me into it. Loki, they are my comrades in arms. We have fought together. You are my brother. And you and your so-called comrades in arms are fighting against me. Me. You see, you can't say it. Loki, don't be unreasonable. Who is being unreasonable? It's you. You are ruthless, shameless, and unreasonable. Then you are not ruthless, shameless, and unreasonable? How am I ruthless, shameless, and unreasonable? How are you not ruthless? How are you not shameless? How are you not unreasonable? No matter how ruthless, shameless, and unreasonable I am, I will not be more ruthless, shameless, or unreasonable than you. Then I will show you how unreasonable I am. You finally admit that you are ruthless, shameless, and unreasonable. Loki seemed to have seized the opportunity. He stepped onto the table with a stride and pointed at Thor from above. Even if I'm ruthless, shameless, and unreasonable, it was forced out of me by your ruthlessness, shamelessness, and unreasonableness. How can a brother bring outsiders to beat his younger brother? Thor was out of control. His brain CPU began to stop working again, and his mind was full of ruthlessness, shamelessness, and unreasonableness. I finally understand why Thor has never won an argument with Loki in 1,500 years. Odin had a look of I'm the Asgardian pill on his face, and he looked at the Ancient One who was eating melons and watching the show. The Ancient One relied on the concentration he had practiced for hundreds of years to force himself not to laugh out loud. At least they are quite energetic, aren't they? The Ancient One thought of a compliment that could not be considered a compliment. Hey, I suddenly think that Hela's child. Actually, forget it. Odin had a look of destruction on his face. Hurry up, I'm tired. Black Widow, Hawkeye, and Dr. Banner gathered together and whispered, have you noticed that the way Loki and Thor get along is also suitable for Captain and Tony? The other two thought about it and found that it was true. One day before, the two had a quarrel because of the way they fought. Simply put, Captain felt that Tony was too reckless and had to drag the whole team to push with him. But Tony felt that he could carry the whole game, but Captain dragged himself to carry the whole game and get the MVP. Then the two quarreled and talked about private life. Captain said that Tony's private life was not decent, and then Tony objected that he was flirting with the little nurse next door. Captain was shocked and then cast his eyes on Black Widow next door. Black Widow said that she would not take the blame for anything. Is this a new way to get along? Although the two sides quarreled happily, everyone was the most powerful superhero in the world, and soon, it was time for the penalty card to be activated. Captain America held his invincible shield and waited for the trial to come. Suddenly, the time was up. Tony Stark felt a little uncomfortable, especially a little dizzy, and the captain also obviously felt that his stomach began to make strange noises and his intestines began to move. At this time, a group of strong men suddenly appeared in the room. "Listen, this is private territory, leave from here. Otherwise, we will fight back." The fully armed people looked at the 20 strong men who suddenly appeared and tightened their weapons. Thor's hammer had already lit up. Tony's Iron Suit's palm cannon also began to gather energy. Hawkeye's special bow and arrow had been aimed. Black Widow's Widow Sting and small pistol were also ready. Dr. Banner took a deep breath and was ready to call Hulk out at any time, and even Nick Fury took out his weapons and prepared to fight. The Avengers were in full formation, but Ancient One, Odin and Loki were not so excited. In Loki's opinion, it would be best if these guys were beaten up. Anyway, they were just a group of mortals and could definitely not hurt his stupid brother. Odin and Ancient One were too lazy to do anything. At their level, they would lose face if they bullied a group of ordinary people. That's why the masterminds behind the villain organizations in novels always send their subordinates to the front to be killed. In their opinion, it would be too embarrassing if they had to take action against a mere bug. At this moment, the opponent rushed directly towards Captain America. Seeing the aggressive crowd, the Avengers took action one after another. Hawkeye's bow and arrow, Stark's palm cannon, Thor's hammer, all of them were useless. All of these things passed through the 20 strong men, as if they did not exist. Seeing this, Captain America did not dare to let down his guard. The next second, the first strong man fought with Captain America. The opponent punched him, and Captain America subconsciously raised his shield. This force, without giving Captain America a second thought, other strong men also surrounded him. Captain America smashed one of them with his shield, and then kicked two more with a flying kick. Then he caught the unscientific shield that completely ignored some physical laws, spun 360 degrees with the shield, and knocked another one away. Then he stepped forward with the shield and engaged in close combat with the remaining opponent. "What's going on?" Thor recalled his hammer with a puzzled look on his face. His hammer flew directly from the opponent's body. "Jarvis, scan the opponent. In the future, there will be videos like the top 10 20th in the world, but the early stage will definitely be mainly movie commentary. Don't worry, it's free anyway, just treat it as watching a movie commentary. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42 Wolverine's Gossip. Sir, judging from the biological energy of the other party, they are all ordinary people with strong bodies in their 20s. Then why can't the palm cannon attack them? Analyzing. Can't analyze. Master Guyi frowned and looked over there. The other party is indeed an ordinary person, but it seems that there is some strange law protecting the other party. Only Captain America's attack can cause damage to the other party. A golden light flashed in the hand of Guyi, and a golden long whip rolled towards one of them. It was useless. The secret whip went straight through the sturdy man, as if the other party didn't exist at all. But the sturdy man rushed to Captain America's side the next second, and raised his hand to punch him. Captain America reacted quickly, threw him to the ground with a backhand over his shoulder, and then turned around and punched the one who tried to sneak attack. Is this the strength of the screening room? Master Guyi smiled bitterly. Compared with the somewhat bluffing Time Management Bureau, the strength of the infinite screening room is really terrifying. It was as if her attack was not in the same dimension as the opponent, and she could not attack the opponent at all. However, she just tried it, and a mysterious energy could completely touch Captain America, who was fighting with the strong man. It was too outrageous. This unknown power was the most incomprehensible and terrifying. Seeing that her attack was completely ineffective, everyone could only cheer for Captain America. Fortunately, although the opponent had a large number of people, their physical strength and fighting skills were only at the level of ordinary people. With this level of siege, ordinary people would have been pinned to the ground and beaten. But who is Captain America? The user of the first generation of super soldier serum, holding a vibranium shield, one of the 10 unscientific artifacts in the Marvel universe. He is nicknamed Captain 50-50 because he can fight anyone 50-50, and even Thanos can wrestle with him for a long time. As for whether Captain America in Avengers 3 caused any obstacles to Thanos, I personally think that there were some obstacles. Thanos' expression at that time could not be called relaxed, but at least he was surprised. The specific data is meaningless. After all, this thing is to serve the plot, but Captain America can pull down a flying helicopter. This strength and physical toughness are definitely not a joke. Facing Captain America, who has the software of the best fighter level on the earth and the hardware of the physical fitness to pull down a flying helicopter with his bare hands, a group of ordinary people have no room for resistance. In this way, Captain America, despite the discomfort in his stomach, quickly defeated all opponents with punches, kicks, and shields. Well, obviously not unexpected. Tony sniffed and said, "What's next? Run 30,000 meters and complete it in 70 minutes. Captain America's face became extremely ugly, and he rushed out with a shield. "Are you in such a hurry?" Dr. Banner asked puzzledly. With the captain's strength, it shouldn't be difficult to run 30,000 meters in 70 minutes. Maybe it's because he needs to run like crazy. "Guys, have you forgotten something?" Black Widow said with a strange look on her face. In addition to the nightmare card, the captain also drew a diarrhea pain card. Puff. Tony's mouth corners were rarely raised, and then two snots flowed out of his nostrils. "Oh, shit. Sir, it was detected that you have a serious cold now. Do you need to make an appointment with a doctor? I know Jarvis. By the way, find a gastroenterologist, the best one in the city." "Okay, sir. By the way, ask the captain where he is going to run, and help him clear out the best road, the kind that needs to bring a toilet on the way." "Okay, sir." I always feel that Tony has become evil. Hawkeye on the side whispered, "He was not like this before." To be honest, I suddenly believe what Nick said. X-Men Universe. X Academy. Did you hear the noise last night? Yeah, I heard it. It was so scary, like an angry beast roaring. Yeah, it was so scary. Could there be a wolf near the academy? It's okay, we have superpowers. Why are we afraid of wolves? It's not a ghost. I heard that castles like this all have death cells. Maybe the ghosts of the people who died in the death cells will come out for revenge. Ah, don't scare me. The three students were walking in the corridor of the academy, and suddenly they ran into their fighting teacher. "Good morning, Mr. Logan." Seeing their kind, approachable, mild-tempered, never angry teacher Logan with a look of despair on his face, the three of them decisively hid. What happened to Mr. Logan? I don't know. I think he might have been heartbroken. What? Is this true? Look, Mr. Logan has dark circles under his eyes. He must have not slept all night. He went to the professor's office early in the morning. The professor is the best psychologist. What else do you think he can do when he goes to the professor? What? Idiot. He must be healing. Oh. Just like that, when Logan asked the professor for advice and was about to go back to catch up on some sleep, a rumor spread that Mr. Logan had been heartbroken and had not slept all night and went to the professor to heal his wounds early in the morning. Later, the rumor intensified and gradually gave birth to multiple versions. Among them, there was even a version in which Mr. Logan cut off pieces of flesh and blood from his body to show his love, replicating the great artist Van Gogh, a version in which Mr. Logan was actually a male ketone, and he actually liked the professor, and he went to the professor to confess his love when he got up in the morning, and even a bloody version of the love triangle between Professor Logan and Eric. And each version can be said to be well-founded and convincing. Gautama Siddhartha faction. We found pieces of meat in Mr. Logan's room. This must be Mr. Logan's imitation of the great artist Van Gogh. Male ketone faction. Mr. Logan was invited back by the professor. You know, Mr. Logan has no feelings for the college. He must have stayed for some special reasons. Dog blood male ketone faction. Professor Mr. Logan and Mr. Eric were able to stay in the same room for a long time before. They must be solving emotional problems. Free flying faction. Why can't it be a love between 3 people? Of course, this is all later. Let's not talk about it for now. The only student who knows the truth said, in fact, Mr. Logan was just annoyed by a group of mosquitoes and couldn't sleep. The blood and flesh on the ground were cut off because he couldn't stand the itching after being bitten by mosquitoes. Anyway, he will regenerate. This blood and flesh is not as serious as our broken skin on our fingers. Going to the professor is actually asking for leave to make up for sleep. So this only truth was driven out. Oh, I hope our teacher Logan will not go crazy and demolish the school after learning about his gossip surroundings. Chapter 43, The Retirement Life of the Ultra King. The Kingdom of Light. It's a very interesting prop. Hickory looked at the information on the analysis chart and said to Tregear on the side, this is a space prop. The internal space is so large that it can be said that it is the first time I have seen it. It has multiple functions and is somewhat similar to the previous monster capsule. No, it's not so much similar as it is that except for the different appearance, the rest is exactly the same. Tregear said on the side, this prop called Advanced Ball basically has all the functions that Senior 7's capsule should have. Spatial ability, yes. And they are all used to hold monsters, although in their world, they call monsters Pokemon, and Pokemon and so on. But compared to the monster capsule, this advanced ball is much more convenient. The production methods of monster capsules and monster balls are much more troublesome, and there are time limits, but this advanced ball seems to have put a living creature directly into the ball, and it can also allow the elf to live in the ball without worrying about the other party's physical condition. It's really incredible. If the advanced ball can be modified and mass-produced, we only need to capture and tame some powerful monsters, and then we can turn them into combat power. Tarikia muttered to himself, if that's the case, I can help Taro, or even stand beside him. If I can use the power of the monsters, the power of the monsters. Tarikia. Hickory looked at the assistant in front of him with a worried look on his face. He suddenly felt that his assistant should be a psychiatrist. But that is a profession that only exists in the ancient books of the Kingdom of Light. As a beautiful society like a utopia, with a population of tens of billions and a history of more than 100,000 years, there is only one psychopath, Bilia. In this world, there is no need for psychiatrists to exist. I remember that there seemed to be a blue tribe riot or something, but I haven't read the specific information about that thing. In addition, Tsuburaya is crazy about eating books, so we just treat him as if he doesn't exist. Anyway, Tsuburaya has eaten books more than once or twice. The original Kingdom of Light was called the Land of Ultra. Maybe I can ask them to find some information about this in the screening room. The situation of this child Tarikia is very worrying. Hickory looked at Tarikia and had a headache for a while. Captain Hickory, I heard that the Dark Ultraman named Belia had a weapon called the Giga Fighter, right? Belia. Hickory was also lost in memories at this moment. When Belia turned evil and was possessed by the ultimate life form Rebrando, he attacked the Kingdom of Light. At that time, he was just an ordinary scientist in the Science and Technology Bureau. Fortunately, Belia went straight to the Plasma Spark Tower and did not come to the Science and Technology Bureau. Otherwise, Tregear. Hickory seemed to have suddenly thought of something. Don't think about the Giga Fighter. The Giga Fighter is now sealed by the king in the Valley of Fire. You can't bear the high temperature there, and there is also an extremely powerful monster guarding it. Yes, I know, Captain Hickory. Tregear nodded silently. Alas. Looking at Tregear, who bowed his head and said nothing, Hickory knew that he had to think of a way, otherwise, his little apprentice would very likely become the next Belia. Recalling that devil-like figure, Hickory still shuddered. Go back and have a rest first. You must be tired from staying up late and working overtime with me here. It's okay, Commander Hickory. You are the main force, and I'm just the deputy. I got insomnia. It doesn't matter whether I take a rest or not. But you haven't had a good sleep for a long time. I will find a way to help you solve your problem. Even if there is no way in our universe, it does not mean that there is no way in other universes. Go back. Yes, Commander Hickory. Looking at Tregear's back, Hickory also sat down and began to analyze the current situation. Alas, the infinite screening room, I don't know whether it is a blessing or a curse. Planet K76. The sky and soil here are it all year round, because there lives a powerful Superman, a strong man called the King of Ultra by the people of the Land of Light, so this place is also called the King's Planet. What do you think? In front of the King of Ultra was a tea set, and sitting opposite him was a humanoid creature with a glowing body. Can't you see through it either? The King of Ultra took a sip of tea and asked calmly, there are things that even you can't understand. It seems that you are just sleeping. The Man of Light didn't say anything, but just picked up the tea silently and drank it all. If even you can't see anything, it can only mean that the other party is in existence above the multiverse. If it is really that kind of existence, it is normal not to see through it. The Man of Light put down the teacup and turned into light particles that dissipated into the sky. Alas, it's a troubled time. The King of Ultra looked at the dark empire that was expanding countless light years away, and the Yabo people in the other dimension who were trying to make trouble again. A certain humanoid weapon seemed to be a little restless. Even the future world was shrouded in darkness. It seemed that something was going to go upstream from the long river of time. Life is so hard. The King of Ultra put away the tea set and walked back and forth on the cliff. Forget it. After a long time, he sat back down. Protecting the universe or something. Let's leave it to those young people. When you are old, you should retire. At most, you can go and replicate new amending the sky or something. Little guy, do you want to have tea together? The King of Ultra looked at a little red dot. It was the cosmic bully Pigman. Chuck. Pigman ran over with his short legs and sat next to the King of Ultra. The King of Ultra smiled and filled Pigman's cup with tea. After thinking for a while, he took out a birdcage from behind, raised his hand, and grabbed something in his hand, and then stuffed it into the birdcage. Chirp. Haha, it's reasonable for a retired old man like me to keep a bird, right? Chirp. Ah, it's indeed a little fierce, but it's okay. It will be fine after a few days. Chirp chirp. Ah, you ask me its name. Let me think. The scientific name of the sky should be Bogaroo. Yes, Bogaroo. Chirp. That name is indeed quite fierce. How about you give it a new name? Chirp. Okay, it's called Chirp. At this moment, Chirp and the birdcage, cough. It was Bogaroo who accepted his new name with a dazed look on his face. I'm still thinking about whether to add some Oriental movie characters. I always feel that it would be a bit incongruous to add them in. I've also thought about starting a new book that only contains Oriental novels and movies. Chapter 44 begins. 3-body. Thanos joins the group. Avengers building. It's going to be broadcast again. Captain America, whose face was still a little weak, and Tony, whose nose was still a little red, did not look very good at the moment. Captain America, not to mention, had diarrhea for 7 days, and at the same time he had to face the torture of the 5-tiger trial once a day. In the first honor trial, after easily defeating 20 strong men, he rushed into the toilet at the fastest speed and began to vomit. This was the first time he had diarrhea since he was strengthened by the serum. After obtaining the super soldier serum, his body functions were strengthened to the peak, and he could be said to be immune to all diseases. Unexpectedly, he actually felt the past days again in these 7 days. What's more terrible is that he not only had diarrhea, but also had to face the extremely difficult 5-tiger trial. The first honor trial successfully left him with a huge psychological shadow. Fighting and running, even running 30,000 meters, were nothing to Captain America. The main thing was that, after adding a debuff called diarrhea, this matter became bad. Fortunately, Tony was still powerful and cleared the streets in advance, otherwise the captain would probably be dead. The second tiger shovel trial was not a big problem. It was just that the tiger was a little outrageous. It was 3 meters tall. It was a giant beast. Fortunately, as long as the mind does not slip, there are always more solutions and problems. After a long discussion, Tony helped the captain build a set of anti-5-tiger armor overnight and easily killed the tiger with a slide. With the help of the anti-5-tiger armor, the captain easily completed the remaining 4 trials. Congratulations. Finally, the time is up. Welcome to the infinite screening room. Here, the system will randomly play important events in a certain universe. During the screening, The system will randomly ask questions to people in the screening room, and those who answer correctly will get points. The live broadcast points can be used to on-demand the past and future related to oneself. For this screening, the screening room has been updated, and everyone is welcome to actively participate in the answer. This update has fixed the bugs in the screening room. 1. Fixed the bug that group members can exchange items with each other. 2. Fixed the bug that the power of the penalty card is constant. At the same time, this screening will increase the number of questions. This screening will add a new function. Preview. This screening has added a Destiny on Demand function, and a viewer will be randomly selected each time to perform Destiny on Demand. This screening has added a special guest function. The screening room cancels the question and answer reward. This screening will adjust the personnel in the live broadcast room and the screening room. Loki Odinson enters the live broadcast room. Magneto Eric Lansher enters the live broadcast room. Special guest John Constantine enters the screening room. Thanos enters the live broadcast room. The screening room has strengthened the ability restriction function. A handsome young man appeared in the screening room, as if he had replaced Loki. The young man was so shocked that the cigarette in his mouth fell out. What is this? Black magic? Who are you? Constantine was alert. He got lung cancer because of smoking and was about to die. What's more terrible is that he can't go to heaven because of suicide, so he can only go to hell, and he just happened to offend almost all the demons in hell. If I fall into the hands of those guys after my death, I will definitely be tortured for eternity. Sir, you can recall your mind. That guy has put everything in your mind. The enthusiastic young man Peter Parker took the initiative to explain this. Constantine was a little bit unbelievable. The information revealed in his mind was indeed a bit too much. Thanos, what is this? Marvel Universe. On Temple 2nd, Thanos sat on his beloved throne and looked at the screen in front of him. A terrible pressure burst out from his whole body. The 5 black generals in front of him felt the terrifying pressure in front of them and suffocated for a short time. Captain America, Thanos. Tony Stark, Thanos. Isn't that the name of the madman who tried to kill half of the universe with a snap of his fingers? Constantine, what the hell? Half the universe with a snap of his fingers? Wanda, this is a madman. His homeland was destroyed because of resource problems, so in order to prevent the universe from repeating the same mistake, he decided to solve the resource problem by destroying half of the life in the universe. Thanos, oh. It seems that you low-level creatures seem to know my plan. Thanos, that's right. My plan is to destroy half of the population and then relieve the pressure on the resources of the universe. Thanos, now I just send troops to clean up one planet after another. When I get the 6 infinite gems, I just want to snap my fingers to complete the great cause of saving the universe. Wolverine, you lunatic. You call killing half of the people in the universe saving? Exclamation mark. Thanos, low-level creatures, it's normal that you can't understand my ideas. Ultraman Ace, that means we are not in the same universe, otherwise I will find your spaceship within 3 days and saw off your head with an ultra guillotine. Throw your ashes into the black hole. Thanos, multiverse. Unfortunately, it seems that your world cannot be saved by me. Thanos, you cannot understand my actions, but I don't care. Anyway, the planets that have been saved by me are now very beautiful. Ultraman Ace, Hikaru. Find a way to develop a cross-universe prop. I'm going to their universe to cut this damn bastard into pieces. Even if Ace came back from Earth, his soul was still the irritable Beedle. If he was in the same universe as Thanos now, he would have killed him with the 8-point light wheel. Humph. Thanos sat firmly on the throne, not caring about Ace's threat. As a being known as the Emperor of the Universe, Thanos' body strength is also extremely terrifying. Even without the Infinity Stones, he can beat the Hulk with his bare hands. Thanos' race's physical strength is a peak level below the god level of the Marvel Universe. You don't need to understand too much about Marvel's settings. It's probably that Thanos himself is very good, but if the good screenwriter asks you to fail, you still have to fail. So there is Captain Woo Woo K's famous battle. Start playing in 3 minutes. The 3-body problem. The Dark Forest 3-body? What a strange name. Does anyone know what this means? If I remember correctly, it's an astronomical term. Let me explain. Bruce Wayne walked out and said, three-body is a term in celestial mechanics, which refers to the mechanical relationship composed of three particles and their mutual gravitational effects. It mainly refers to three stars of similar mass. Seeing everyone's expression of who knows this, you said that, Bruce Wayne also looked embarrassed. He was trying to think of a word that everyone could understand to explain this term. In simple terms, there are three stars near a planet. Isn't this easy to understand? Hickory gave a simple explanation. Wolverine, so that's it? Could it be that this screening is intended to explain astronomy to us, or show the life of three suns? Alfred, could it be related to the planets? This is a story about aliens? Ultraman Ace, I think it's unlikely. Ultraman Ace, I don't quite agree that a planet in the three-body can give birth to life. Loki, how can you be sure? Have you seen it? Ultraman Ace, how do you know I have seen it? In the Asgard dungeon, Loki's face was a little embarrassed. I forgot that this is a big guy who can cross the galaxy in the flesh. I always feel that my IQ has dropped since I returned to Asgard. Ultraman Ace, stars have huge gravitational force. We once had a planet that was almost sucked into the sun by the gravitational force because it was too close to the sun, and the end was beyond redemption. You can imagine a planet surrounded by three stars, and these three stars are still doing irregular movements. This planet is either pulled to this side or to that side. Ultraman Ace, this is not the worst. The worst is being pulled by two or even three stars at the same time. Bruce Wayne, if that's the case, Tony Stark, then the planet will be torn into pieces. Ultraman Hickory, in other words, if there are really living things on that planet, then the continuous radiation from the three stars is only a small problem. The real big problem is that the planet under their feet may be completely torn apart by the gravity of the three stars at any time. Wolverine, damn. Wolverine Logan, who finally slept comfortably for 2 days, was stunned at this moment. He was so shocked that his mouth opened wide, and even the cigar in his mouth fell out. Mr. Logan, who knew nothing about celestial mechanics and astronomy, is now a physical education professor and occasionally teaches history. After all, someone himself is a living history. Because of this, he was so shocked that he didn't react even when his cigar lit his pants. Logan, your pants are on fire. Logan put out the flames on his pants with his hands without caring, and then asked, you read a lot of books, is what they said true? I read few books, don't lie to me. I'm not very clear either. Professor X said with a wry smile. Aren't you a professor? How come you don't even know this? Wolverine asked suspiciously, did you buy your doctorate? No. Professor X explained helplessly, I studied psychology, genetics, and biology, and I have some understanding of physics, but I really don't know anything about celestial mechanics. Isn't celestial mechanics part of physics? Wolverine had an expression that smart people like to lie. Sure enough, you are still lying to me. No, listen to my explanation. At this moment, Professor X suddenly understood the old saying in the East, when a scholar meets a soldier, he can't explain his reason clearly. What exactly is the meaning of the gods and demons? I feel so tired all of a sudden. After the three-body problem, I will be watching Constantine's Hellblazer. The other video has not been decided yet. You can mention it in the book circle or here. Try not to mention anime. I don't watch much anime. Ultra's bitter smile. JPG. If no one mentions it, I will choose to play the second part of Avengers 3. Chapter 45, Angry Ace, Online Fight. Ultraman Hickory, moreover, even if that planet is extremely lucky and is not torn into cosmic dust by the three stars, it will not have an easy life. Ultraman Hickory, when it is in the gravitational circle of three stars, its best fate is to be attracted by the gravity of one star. But the movement of these three stars is also irregular. Ultraman Hickory, imagine that the planet is not pulled close to the star by the gravity of one of the stars, causing the surface of the star to be scorched by the high temperature of the star. Not to mention living things, even the surface of the Earth's crust will be vaporized. Ultraman Hickory, if it is pulled far away, the planet will fall into an extremely long winter. Bruce Wayne, in other words, living on this planet, there is a possibility of death on the spot in the next second. Strange, is it testing the edge of death every minute and every second? This is really terrible. Strange imagined it and shuddered. Although the Earth has also been targeted by many demons from other dimensions, at least with the protection of the Supreme Sanctuary and the Supreme Sorcerer, ordinary people can still live very well. But people living on the Trisolarian planet, no matter who they are in dire straits. If the Earth were on the Trisolarian planet, I'm afraid that more than half of the demons from other dimensions would not invade. Strange smiled bitterly. X-Men universe. Wolverine Logan didn't change his pants, picked up the cigar, and continued to smoke it. To be honest, Logan, smoking in a public place is really uncivilized. Charles frowned and said, "But this is not a public place, this is your office." Logan directly retorted. Although he retorted, Logan still put out the cigar with his hand. He thought about it. Even if he had the ability to heal himself, if he really lived on the Trisolarian planet, he would either die or live a life worse than death. The Earth is so good. Logan sighed silently. 3 minutes passed in a flash, and the screen began to play in the screening room. It was a cemetery, and a man was sweeping the graves here. The man's name is Luog, and he is sweeping the grave of a woman named Yang Dang. At this moment, a grey-haired old man came over and started talking to Luog. After talking about Yang Dang, he talked to Luog about his research. When he learned that Luog's research was sociology, the old man named Wenji suddenly asked, "Zio Luo, why don't you study cosmic sociology?" Cosmic sociology. When this term was brought up, some smart people in the live broadcast room and the screening room seemed to have opened a door to a new world. On the other side of the door was a new world, but everyone just couldn't cross this door to find out. Interesting. Studying your society. Do you have similar disciplines there? Really not. The Kingdom of Light has diplomats, but there are really no similar disciplines. Hikari thought for a while and said, "After all, we don't seem to need this kind of thing." This time, just the beginning aroused everyone's interest. Wanda. So, this is a story about a human professor studying alien sociology and then leading humans to defeat the invading cosmic people. Ultraman Hikari. Why must it be the defeat of the cosmic people? Wanda. The righteous Earthlings defeated the evil cosmic people. This is how it is in many novels and movies. Ah. Sorry. I forgot that you are also cosmic people. Ultraman Hikari. No, I just want to simply remind you of one thing. That is, in the eyes of people from other planets, you Earthlings are also a kind of cosmic people. The video continues. Wenji and Luog calmly talked about the conjectures about cosmic sociology. To sum up this discipline, there are only 2 axioms in the final analysis. First, survival is the first need of civilization. Second, civilization continues to grow and expand, but the total amount of matter in the universe remains unchanged. I have been thinking about this for most of my life, but this is the first time I have talked about this with a fan. I really don't know why I want to talk about it. Oh, to infer the basic picture of cosmic sociology from these 2 axioms, there are 2 more important concepts, the chain of suspicion and technological explosion. Wenji's words completely aroused Luog's interest. Luog continued to ask Wenji for advice, but was rejected by Wenji. What does this mean? Wolverine, I'm already having a headache. What do you mean by technology chain and suspicion explosion? Loki, that's the opposite, it's suspicion chain and technology explosion. Wolverine, what does that mean? Loki, I seem to have touched the edge, but I haven't figured it out yet. I still need some information. Survival is the first need of civilization. The first need, this is easy to understand. Bruce Wayne said, the highest desire of any life is to live. Living is a must for a creature and a civilization. Any creature has evolved for tens of millions of years in order to survive. And the second point is that, if a civilization wants to survive, it needs resources, but the resources in the universe are fixed. Bruce Wayne suddenly thought of something. Wanda, isn't this consistent with that bastard's theory? Question mark? On Temple 2nd, Thanos, who saw this scene, laughed out loud. Seeing a group of people who opposed him being slapped in the face on the spot, Thanos was still in a very happy mood. Thanos, that's right, my theory is correct. As long as the population is reduced to a certain level, there will be no wars due to resource problems, and everyone can live without worries. Ultraman Ace, so you are a saint? Exclamation mark. Thanos, I don't care. I, Thanos, have to care about other people's opinions in my life. My speed is still slow now. As long as I get 6 infinite gems, I can fulfill my long cherished wish with a snap of my fingers. Ultraman Ace, bullshit next door. Exclamation mark. What right do you have to take other people's lives? Ultraman Ace, the expansion of civilization has indeed brought about the problem of resource shortage. Exclamation mark. But this is definitely not a reason for you to engage in massacres. Ultraman Ace, we should solve the problem, instead of solving the person who raised the problem. Thanos, there is no point in talking more. No one can stop me from saving the universe. Ultraman Ace, then I really have to try. Thanos, you are not in the same universe as me. How can you stop me? In the kingdom of light. Ace saw these words, turned around and flew away. Ace, where are you going? I'm going to find the king. Sorry, I can't stand it anymore. Constantine finally couldn't help asking, what exactly is that Infinity Stone? It is a particularly powerful treasure in their universe. It was born at the beginning of the universe and has the power to create the world. After the enthusiastic neighbor Peter Parker explained the power of the 6 Infinity Stones to Constantine, as a half-outsider, asked a more direct question. Since the Infinity Stone is so powerful, why don't you just use it to increase the resources of the universe? Why do you have to carry out a massacre? I'm very curious, how did you do it? The guy who was pointed out by 2 fans? Chapter 46, Triselaran. Silence. Silence is today's screening room. Thanos was also stunned after hearing this. Indeed, he was influenced by inertial thinking before, and only thought about killing, and forgot about this matter. Thanos, your reminder is right. Everyone looked at it. Is there a turning point? Thanos, but even if there are more resources, it still can't keep up with the growth rate of population. Thanos, so I decided, after I get the 6 infinite gems, I will first increase the resources of the universe, and then randomly clean up half of it. Wanda, there is no way to communicate with this madman. Bruce Wayne, have you never thought about it? Even if you have the ability to kill half of the universe at the speed of population growth, at most 100 years, because of the increase in resources, the population will explode and return to the original level, even more serious than before you cleaned it up. Bruce Wayne, what will you do then? Another big cleanup. Thanos was silent when he saw this information. In the next clip, on Earth, the Human Coalition government defeated the Earth Trisellarian Organization. Earth Trisellarian Organization, also known as ETO, their slogan is, eliminate human tyranny, the world belongs to the Trisellarians. They believe that humans are stupid and hopeless, and hope that the Trisellarian civilization will take over the Earth. And UNG is the spiritual leader of this organization. What? Everyone was puzzled. Are these guys crazy? They actually want to help aliens invade the Earth? I can't understand. This is very much like some extreme environmentalists. Those guys are just talking, or they are seeking benefits for themselves. They all say that they want to protect the environment and prohibit cutting down trees, but when the weather gets cold and they need charcoal to burn, they are more active than anyone else, and they are still complaining that the price of charcoal is too high. But these guys are serious. And that UNG, she is actually the spiritual leader of this terrorist organization. Then why did she find that young man named LUOG and say those words? Q&A begins. Question. Why did UNG say those words to LUOG? This quiz is a gambling quiz mode. There are no options. Before the quiz, you need to place your own bets. 10 points, 30 points, 50 points, 100 points. 4 levels. Corresponding to the 4 punishment cards, pain card, nightmare card, hell card, and abyss card. This quiz has only one chance to answer, but there is no time limit for answering. Please think carefully. A different quiz format? Before everyone could think, the image started again. In Centaurus, 4 light years away from the Earth, in this galaxy, 3 stars gathered together to form a perfect 3-body system. Suddenly, as if time was accelerating, a planet appeared in this galaxy. 3 stars passed by this planet separately, and under the terrifying gravity of the stars, the planet was torn into 2 halves. A smaller piece of debris flew out, but under the gravitational pull of the larger fragment, it became a satellite of the larger fragment, just like the moon and the earth. Seeing such a terrifying scene, everyone was stunned. This is the terrifying power of the universe. Mortals cannot resist, or even have the will to resist. At this moment, everyone finally understood how bad the situation Hikari had described was. At this moment, everyone felt the terrifying power of the universe. Time is still accelerating. As time goes by, life is still born on this planet. Under the acceleration of time, the life on this planet gradually formed a civilization and built cities and villages. But after a solar storm, the entire civilization on the surface turned to ashes. All traces of life disappeared. Not even a little residue was left. Wanda, a civilization. Countless lives just disappeared like this. Loki, little girl, that's not disappearance, it's complete destruction. Wanda, shut up. Ultraman Hikari, civilization is very fragile. In the universe, there is only one planet that can give birth to life. Time is still accelerating, and birth and destruction happen again and again on this planet, over and over again. Hundreds of reincarnations have passed, thousands of times, tens of thousands of times. No one knows how many reincarnations have passed. In countless reincarnations, each time a civilization was born, but their final outcome was that they were completely destroyed by the terrifying solar storm, leaving no bacteria behind. But there is always a way out. After perhaps tens of millions of years, or perhaps hundreds of millions of years of reincarnation, this planet finally saw a turn for the better. Finally, a civilization survived in the cracks, survived the long years of destruction, and successfully survived under the threat of 3 suns, giving birth to a long-lasting civilization. Hikari looked at the 3-body civilization on the screen, and couldn't help but sigh. It's incredible. I heard a saying when I was practicing in the East. Bruce Wayne said, it's called there is always a way out. No matter how harsh the environment is, there will be a ray of hope. But even if they survive, the 3-body problem has not been solved. Tony Stark frowned and said, their civilization is still on the line of life and death at all times. The video continues. The Trisolarians also realized the sword of Damocles hanging over their heads. As long as they didn't solve the 3-body problem, their civilization would be threatened. But when they found that the 3-body problem was unsolvable, they could only find another way. Because they couldn't stay on their own planet anyway, the Trisolarians chose to spend huge manpower, material resources and financial resources to listen to the signals in the universe. Finally, they heard a message from another planet. That planet is called Earth. Because of this message, the Trisolarians knew that 4 light years away, there is a planet called Earth, where there are 4 seasons, a perfect atmosphere and ecological environment. Most importantly, there is no 3-body problem there. There are no 3 stars that bring extreme cold and scorching sun to the earth from time to time. There, you don't have to worry all the time. There, you don't have to worry that the ground under your feet will be torn into pieces by the gravity of the stars in the next second. There, you can live in peace. Not good. Chapter 47 Ebony Moore's advice. Now, the Earth will definitely face an invasion by aliens with the ability to cross the galaxy. Didn't the previous video say that? The Trisolarians have already arranged to spy on Earth. The first requirement of civilization is survival, to stay alive. When the Trisolarians, who live in the Trisolarian galaxy and are constantly on the line between life and death, discover that Earth is a place that is better than heaven, they will definitely invade at all costs. After discovering Earth, the entire Trisolarian star fell into a carnival, and they launched the invasion plan at the fastest speed. But they found something that made them despair, that is, Earth's technology is developing too fast, and their spacecraft will take at least 400 years to cross a distance of 4 light years. Seeing this scene, Tony and others breathed a sigh of relief. 400 years is enough for Earth's technology to shorten the gap with the Trisolarians' technology. Bruce Wayne said, I just don't know if we can reach the level of resisting the Trisolarians. Loki, are you mortals talking in your sleep? How could a low-level civilization that couldn't even leave its own planet develop to the point of fighting the Trisolarians across the galaxy in only 400 years? Ultraman Hikari, Mr. Loki, don't underestimate the potential of mankind. Bruce Wayne, Loki, think about it. How big is the gap between the human beings 400 years ago and the human beings now? 400 years ago, Loki was stunned and began to think. The Earth 400 years ago. On that land in the east, a powerful empire called Ming was heading for extinction, while in the west, a wave of ideological and cultural waves was opened. 400 years ago, human civilization was still a very elementary civilization. They didn't even have electricity. But now, Ultraman Hickory, human beings are different from other cosmic civilizations. This is the conclusion drawn by our civilization observers of all generations after countless observations. Ultraman Hickory, the potential and development speed of human civilization can even be described as terrifying and terrible. Ultraman Hickory, in just 400 years, the change from steam engine to nuclear energy civilization was completed. This speed of progress is a feat that other cosmic civilizations cannot achieve even in 4,000 or 40,000 years, but the Earthlings completed it in just 400 years. Ultraman Hickory, isn't this amazing enough? Bruce Wayne, from what you mean, in the universe, the development speed of other civilizations is very slow? Ultraman Hickory, it's not that they are too slow, it's that you are too fast. The potential of you humans is really inestimable and immeasurable. Ultraman Ace, that's why we pay so much attention to Earthlings. Not only do you look the same as we did before, but also your civilization is developing at a very fast speed. Ace thought of the Silver Shark cannon and the bug-level black technologies of the defense forces in the past. For example, the big laser 50 in his TAC has 50 times the power of an ordinary laser cannon. Let's not talk about the 50 times power. It's a bit absurd that a civilization on a planet can make a laser cannon. The TAC team is dealing with super beasts that are more powerful than monsters, so it's reasonable to equip them with some powerful weapons, right? Do you think this is a peak? No, this is a cut. It's weakened. The previous defense team was all buggy weapons. For example, the 1 teradegree fireball Mr. Happy Sky Monkey, and the G2 missile that blew up the home planet of the Keelan Star Beast. Can these things be made by a normal planetary civilization? Thanos, this is a technological explosion. In this case, I almost understand the chain of suspicion. Because technology is developing too fast, the Trisolarians are also afraid of the development speed of the Earthlings. When their fleet arrives on Earth 400 years later, will the other party have reached a level far beyond their own civilization? If the other party's technological level has reached their own level, then these 400 years of efforts will be in vain. What's more terrifying is that if the other party's technological level is far beyond their own, then the other party can just invade them in return, which is like inviting a wolf into the house and setting themselves on fire. After everyone saw what the purple potato spirit said, they were suddenly enlightened. Thanos triggers a hidden question and answer and is awarded 10 points and priority to answer. Questioning begins. It will take 400 years for the invasion fleet of the Trisolarian civilization to reach Earth, but due to technological explosion, the Trisolarians cannot guarantee that when their fleet reaches Earth, the other party's technological level will have far surpassed theirs, leading to a suicide act. In order to prevent this from happening, what should the Trisolarians do? This answer is in question and answer mode. If Thanos does not answer within 10 minutes, it will be automatically deemed as giving up, and then everyone can answer. Correct answer, reward 10 points. Wrong answer, draw a pain card. Start countdown. On temple second, Thanos dragged his chin and began to think. The Trisolarians method? Thanos cast his eyes on Ebony Maw, who is one of the group of the Obsidian 5, even though there are only 4 of them. As the saying goes, there must be 5 of the 4 heavenly kings, and it is reasonable that there are only 4 of the Obsidian 5. The reason why a superstar didn't appear is probably because his mind control ability is not easy to show. If he is strong, he can't fight. If he is weak, he is useless. So the director should have this mentality and change the 5 Obsidian generals to 4 Obsidian generals. Among the 5 Obsidian generals, 3 are thugs, and only Ebony Maw is a mage. This mage mainly uses telekinesis. Although he has a strong record of turning Doctor Strange against his will in the comics, this is the movie universe. Suffering from the fact that all his subordinates are tyrants and reckless, and there is no intelligent character, Thanos can only pick the tallest among the short ones and let Ebony Maw think of a way for him and give him an idea. Okay, now the pressure is on Ebony Maw. Your Excellency, if it were me, I would create panic on Earth by spreading information. Panic? Yes, Your Excellency, panic. Ebony Maw seemed to have grasped the point and said quickly, Your Excellency, in that world, the flying speed of the spacecraft of the race called Trisolaran is limited, so the first thing that is certain is that they cannot send out an elite force to go to Earth in advance to destroy the development of human civilization. They can only use other means to obstruct it. Combined with the previous two pieces of information, 1. The Trisolarans have established contact with the people on Earth. And 2. The Trisolarans have a very high status in the hearts of some people on Earth, and even are in a leadership position. We can get information from these 2 points, that is, although the Trisolarans cannot rush to Earth, they can establish contact with the people on Earth through communication. So I personally think that the Trisolarans have bewitched a part of the people on Earth in a way that allows that part of the people on Earth to destroy the development speed of the Earth's civilization and guide more people on Earth to surrender to the enemy. Your Excellency, this is my answer. Chapter 48 Ace's answer. What do you think? Thanos listened to Ebony Maw's words and turned to look at the other 4 subordinates. I agree with Ebony Maw. General Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight nodded. Then he looked at Black Dwarf. Forget it. Thanos moved his eyes away from Black Dwarf. After all, not everyone has the same intelligence attributes as physical fitness and strength as Thanos. It's not easy to be a hexagonal warrior. Black Dwarf, this unfortunate kid, can't even speak clearly. Asking him to give advice is obviously a bit too much. Time passed by minute, and at the last minute, Thanos finally spoke. Thanos, the Trisolarians chose to use information transmission to seduce and summon the Earthlings' subordinates, to make the Earthlings kill each other, and to make the Earthlings fall into internal friction, so that the Earthlings' civilization cannot move forward. Internal friction? Tony Stark looked at the answer and thought in his heart. Tony Stark was still clear about what the situation of the Earthlings was. Letting humans fight each other and consume each other is completely valid. Judgment in progress. Thanos answered incorrectly, cancelling the penalty card once, and now the random answer begins. In temple number 2, Thanos' purple shoehorn face suddenly turned into a black shoehorn face. Ebony Maw, who successfully tricked his master, knew that he was doomed, and knelt down, and kowtowed frantically to beg Thanos for forgiveness. Thanos snorted coldly, expressing his dissatisfaction, but considering that there was only such a smart character on his side, and Ebony Maw was the most loyal to him, Thanos did not punish him too much. Wonder, phew, it's a good thing that this madman didn't answer correctly, otherwise if he got the treasure from the multiverse, the world would be really threatened. Magneto, it's okay, but at present, the answer proposed by that guy should be the most likely. If even his answer is wrong, then what else can we do? Wolverine Logan, it can't be that the Trisolarians used witchcraft to curse the Earthlings, cursing the Earthlings' technology, to be unable to progress. Ultraman Ace, there are some aliens with superpowers in our universe, but cursing a civilization's technology, to be unable to progress is a bit far-fetched. Loki, how do you know if it's right if you don't try it? Why don't you give it a try? Wolverine, do you think we are fools? Ultraman Hickory, the other party must have found a way to block the Earth's technology, just like using a wall to block the root of Earth's technology, but I don't know much about Earth's technology, so I can't jump to conclusions. Is it blocked? Bruce Wayne thought about the development of Earth's civilization, but the current information was not enough and there was no way to analyze it at all. We need some hints. You must at least give us some information about the 2 civilizations before we can answer. Bruce Wayne made a tentative request to the screening room. According to his observation, the screening room had a good attitude towards this group of audiences. Although he didn't know what the other party was going to do, he was sure that the other party didn't want to put him in a very low position. So he made a tentative request. This universe has no superpowers at all. Mutants, etc. do not exist at all. This is a world with extremely strict physical laws. Technology prevails and there are no extraordinary powers. The level of Earth civilization is roughly at the level of Tony Stark's world. except for the lack of various extraordinary powers. The other technological levels are roughly the same, but there is no technology like the arc reactor. The three-body civilization can develop light-speed spacecraft and can control 9 of the 11 dimensions. A very vague data. Everyone turned their eyes to Tony Stark, who said in embarrassment, "I can't give you a detailed explanation of this situation. There is not enough time. The development of science is a very complicated subject. I can only roughly say that we now have artificial satellites that can fly out of the atmosphere, and the average life expectancy of humans can." Blockade. How exactly is it blocked? Can the other party actually master the 9th dimension? In our research, 4-dimensional life can master time and predict the future. If it is 9-dimensional, wouldn't it be no different from gods? If the other party really masters the 9th dimension, then they can't even solve a 3-body problem. Watching the time pass by, Ace suddenly thought of something and then said without hesitation, "Ultraman Ace, the 3-body people use their own technology to find a way to use dimensional technology to block the technological progress of the Earthlings." Wanda, what you said is almost the same as not saying anything. Wolverine, we all know that the 3-body people use technology to block, and the other party will not use witchcraft to bend the Earthlings. Judgment in progress. Judgment in progress. Judging. Tony Stark, what's going on? Is there a bug in the system? Wanda, then you won't be trapped in the screening room and can't get out. Tony Stark, little girl, don't say discouraging words. Wanda, it's none of your business. Humph. Tony's mouth twitched. Although he had mobilized all his connections in his own world to find the traces of Wanda and her brother, the two seemed to have evaporated from the face of the earth and could not be found. The original situation in Sokovia was quite special. It was a war zone, and the ordinary people had been brainwashed by Hydra for a long time. In addition, the geographical situation was complicated. It could be said that they had no advantage in terms of time, place, and people. Facing a speedster who wanted to hide wholeheartedly and a superpower with the ability to control the mind, Tony Stark, also seemed particularly powerless. If there was still no way to go back this time, then he could only pull his face and ask that adult. It was the Supreme Sorcerer Master Ancient One. Regardless of whether the other party is guilty of their own fault or not, two superpowered boys and girls with such powerful superpowers, and these two children seem to have some psychological problems. Who knows how big a mess it will cause in the future. Judgment completed. Ace Ultraman's answer is correct. If you want to know what the two things I'm talking about are, if you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49, Crazy Scientists. Right? This works? So easy? Ultraman Ace answered correctly and received 10 points. Ace, who was flying in the universe, was stunned. He did not expect that he could guess it right after just a few guesses. Forget it, it's better if I guess it right. The surprise in Ace's eyes flashed and then turned into endless murderous intent. The video continues. After learning the information about the Earth, the Trisolarans were ecstatic and immediately started to form an expedition fleet. But in addition to forming an expedition fleet, the Trisolarans did one more thing. That is to impose a technological blockade on the Earthlings. The Trisolarans also lamented the speed of technological development on the Earth. At this rate, I'm afraid that when their fleet arrives on the Earth in 400 years, the Earthlings' technology will be able to beat them back. In order to prevent the painful situation of being killed in the face of a counterattack, after failing to steal the house, the Trisolarans also launched another plan, the Proton Plan, while building the expedition fleet. The so-called Proton Project is to create a Proton-class supercomputer the size of a proton that can fly at superluminal speeds, named Sophan. Wait, what the hell? A proton-sized supercomputer that can fly at superluminal speeds. Tony Stark, Bruce Wayne, Hikaru and other scientists were all stunned. What the hell is this thing? What's wrong? Peter Parker asked puzzledly. Is that proton computer very powerful? Loki, boy, don't you understand yet? That thing can be used for superluminal flight. Superluminal. This means that the other party used this proton computer, Soften, to block the Earth's technology. Wolverine, but what does this have to do with Ace's answer? 1. Could it be that the proton computer came to the Earth first through superluminal speed, and then controlled the development of the Earth's civilization through the performance of the supercomputer? Wolverine, but this has nothing to do with the dimension. A group of ordinary people were still discussing what the connection was with Ace's answer, while the scientists in the 3 screening rooms were already going crazy. The craziest one among them was Tony Stark. No, this is impossible. No, that's not right. Since the other party can control the dimension, there is no reason why they can't create it. But why at this time? And what does this have to do with the dimension? Proton size. Proton. How exactly do they transform within the range of proton size? Proton size. Superluminal speed. Hikari directly conjured up a light screen and began to calculate frantically on it. The other 2 watched on the side, with expressions on their faces, as if they would beat anyone who dared to disturb them so hard that they wouldn't even recognize their mother. The appearance of the 3 scientists made the group of people shudder. Magneto took a deep breath, silently moved back, and squeezed together with the 2 ordinary humans he looked down upon. They look so scary. I've seen a lot of demons, but I suddenly feel that Satan is also quite kind. Are all scientists so scary? Avengers building. When Dr. Banner heard about the Proton class computer, his breathing suddenly became rapid, his heart rate increased, and a green color began to appear on his face. Seeing this, Loki silently moved away from his position. Banner, calm down. That big guy's not good at academic research. Black Widow said cautiously. Compared with Tony, Dr. Banner's character has been tempered a lot in the years of getting along with Hulk. With the comfort of Black Widow, he finally stabilized. Sorry, everyone, there is no way. The information the other party said is too terrifying. Banner, how terrible is that Proton class computer? Captain America asked puzzledly. Sorry, but I can only associate it with those machines. Captain. Banner said with a wry smile. Remember Ultron? Everyone's face changed. How could they forget that nightmare figure like a god or demon? If the other party is really a supercomputer with superluminal capabilities, advanced intelligence, and most importantly, a volume only the size of a proton, then the impact he will have on Earth civilization in the Trisolaran world will definitely not be less than that of Ultron. In the screening room, Hikari said this with a solemn expression. No way. He's just a computer. Ultron is just an artificial intelligence. Bruce Wayne retorted, Mr. Landshear, you are the first audience with us. Have you forgotten Ultron's feat in that universe? No. Magneto was silent. Constantine, who had just entered, was confused. Wolverine, you mean, the Trisolarans created an Ultron? Wolverine, they have the ability to create an Ultron, so why are they afraid of the Trisolarans? Bruce Wayne, no, maybe our description is inaccurate and you misunderstood. Tony Stark, first of all, half or even more of the reason why Ultron is so strong is because of the 6 Infinity Stones, and that purple potato monster accounts for 90% of this. Thanos. Ultraman Hikari, Ultron's attack is a physical attack, but Soften is different. If I'm not mistaken, its existence will completely block the progress of human civilization. Ultraman Hikari, completely. Tony Stark, this is a very complicated question. If we want to explain it to you thoroughly, we have to start with the concept of protons. This is a very simple academic question. Wanda, my scalp starts to numb when I hear academic questions. Wanda's world. Wanda looked at Vision on the side, and Vision explained, I have collected a lot of information related to protons. If I were here, I should be able to explain it to you clearly in 13 hours. Oh my god, forget it. Tony Stark, you can imagine that something that is not even as big as an atom has been transformed into a computer. How terrifying technology is needed to do this. Wolverine, excuse me, what is an atom? X-Men universe. Professor X covered his eyes in pain. Oh my god, for God's sake, Logan, please take some time to go to the library and read more books. First of all, I don't believe in that old god. Secondly, don't you think it's cruel to ask a 100-year-old man to study? Have you never read a book? I started to flee before I was 10 years old. What kind of book can I read? This thing can't keep me alive on the battlefield. Equals, it's good enough to be able to recognize words. Just ignore me. Brothers. Zed's Infinite Terror and Big Universe era are animated. My youth is back. My youth is back. My youth is back. I watched the trailer. Damn. Awesome. Just 2 words. Awesome. Chapter 50 Soften Engineering. The diameter of a proton is only 1/64,000 of the diameter of a hydrogen atom. 1.7 x 10 carat. 15 m. And its mass is 1.67 x 10 carat. Minus 27 kilograms. Which is about 1837 times the mass of an electron. I don't think they can understand what we are talking about if you tell them this. Hikaru added ruthlessly. Forget it. Tony gave up the urge to popularize science. On the screen, the Trisolarans appeared, and they were discussing how to attack the Earth. The head of the Trisolarians said, the first message we received from Earth came from a traitor of Earth civilization. So we have reason to infer that Earth civilization is not united internally. We must make full use of this power. But Earth is too far away from us. It takes 80,000 hours to contact each other. 10,000 hours is equal to 1 Earth year, which means it takes 8 years to contact each other. Moreover, if Earth civilization discovers our existence, there will be a risk that their internal power will increase greatly due to rapid fusion caused by external pressure. Then what should we do? Destroy it? The distance is too far. Ordinary means of destruction are meaningless, so we must use unconventional means, killing their science. That's why we have to cancel the construction of the second space fleet and build the Soften project instead. Then, the Trisolarian Archon explained 2 plans, the Chromosome Plan and the Miracle Plan. The Chromosome Plan is like the moral kidnapping of environmental protection and other morals carried out by developed countries on Earth to developing countries. What they have to do is to expand this idea. The Miracle Plan uses high-tech displays to make Earthlings regard them as gods. As soon as the Miracle Plan came out, it immediately caused an uproar in the entire combat command room. This is playing with fire. The Miracle Plan requires the delivery of technology to the Earth, and this behavior is firmly rejected by most of the Trisolarian Archons. They are already worried that the Earth civilization will kill them, and you are still here to provide them with technological assistance. This behavior makes the military Archons want to send them to the stake. The 2 plans you mentioned are basically useless. But it's better than nothing, said the technological Archon. The Trisolarian leader interrupted the quarrel and said, the plan for the second space fleet has been cancelled, and a giant particle accelerator will be built instead. All the resources for building the second space fleet will be used for the Soften project. Many of the Trisolarians present learned about the Soften project, and many of them were shocked by it. I still feel that it is a myth, said a Trisolarian Archon. Yes, said another Trisolarian Archon. Now let me introduce the Soften project. In short, the Soften project is to transform a proton into a super intelligent computer. Even though they had been mentally prepared, the scientists still looked solemn when they heard this. In the scientific community, this was indeed as incredible as a myth. A Trisolarian Archon said, it is still too sudden for the proton project to become a reality. I know that physicists have been able to manipulate 9 dimensions of the 11-dimensional structure of the microscopic world, but I still can't imagine how to put a pair of tweezers into a proton to build a large-scale integrated circuit. Manipulate 9 dimensions of the 11-dimensional structure of the microscopic world. This Trisolarian. It's too powerful. No. Bruce Wayne suddenly said, do you still remember how the Trisolarians evaluated the Earth before? They said that they had carefully studied the information of the Earth, and the most noteworthy of them was the history of human civilization. It took humans more than 100,000 Earth years to move from the hunting age to the agricultural age. It took thousands of Earth years to move from the agricultural age to the industrial age. And it took only 200 Earth years to move from the industrial age to the atomic age. After that, it took only a few dozen Earth years for humans to enter the information age. This civilization has a terrifying ability to accelerate evolution. Strange began to repeat it word for word. In the Trisolaran world, among the 200 civilizations that have existed, including the Trisolarans of this era, none has experienced this kind of accelerated development. The scientific and technological progress of all Trisolaran civilizations is uniform or even decelerating. Each technological era in our world requires basically the same long development time. Strange continued, the reality is that after 4.5 million hours, when the Trisolaran fleet arrives at the planetary system where the Earth is located, the technological level of Earth civilization will have accelerated and far surpassed that of the Trisolarans. After such a long voyage, the Trisolaran fleet will have to cross two interstellar dust belts in the middle. It is very likely that only half of the ships will reach the solar system, and the rest will be lost in the long voyage. By then, the Trisolaran fleet will be vulnerable to Earth civilization. The Trisolarans are not going on an expedition, they are going to die. Terrible memory. Basic operation. That's right. The reason why the Trisolarans started the Soften project and even cancelled the second space fleet was to prevent the Earthlings from surpassing them, because the level of technological development of the Earthlings was a little too fast. So, the Earth in that world may be able to control at least 9 of the 11 dimensions in 400 years. The development speed of Earth civilization in our world is also terrifying. Hikaru also said, maybe we should send 2 more observers to observe Earth civilization. Bruce kept Hikaru's words in mind without changing his expression, and then said, what if our Earth civilization doesn't have that potential? Since that Earth can do it, our Earth can do it too. Tony Stark is confident. He is the best scientist and the strongest genius on Earth. At least in his time. After all, there are many black technology bosses on Earth, but looking at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, his father Howard Stark can crush Tony. Howard is simply at a disadvantage of the times. The comics are even more outrageous. What about Newton, the master of mechanics? Coulomb, the master of electromagnetism, and Einstein, the master of mass and energy. Anyway, all the famous tech giants in history are super awesome black tech giants, and Zhang Heng, who invented the armillary sphere and seismometer during the Eastern Han Dynasty, is also among them. I responded to some readers' book reviews these 2 days, and then corrected the typos. I will reply to book reviews and correct typos on weekends. I will definitely correct them when I see them, because there are quite a lot of book reviews. Here's a preview. The 3 videos in this issue, 3 body, are already in progress. The second one selects the attack of Ebony Maw from the Avengers on Twist City and the attack on WandaVision, unlocking the first official branch outside the script, and we have to find a way to add some plugins to Wanda. The third one must be Constantine's Hellblazer. It's unnecessary for a special guest to do something. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.